Oh God, that's funny. Hope that caught. What's up, everybody? This is DH Thorne. I hope that you all can see and hear me. Let's make sure we can all be seen and heard. What is up, everybody? I believe it should now be streaming to everybody worldwide, coast to coast, front to back, which is usually the right way to do it. What's up, everybody? What's the good word today, Flesh Priest? What are we talking about?
Oh, the same thing we talk about every week, Mr. DH.
Non-duality?
Non-duality and whatever we care to speak of.
Okay. We got a thumbs up from the sound check girl. Thank you, lovely Camila, who
Woman.
makes the great cheesecake. For those of you who are
And
not
hello
familiar,
to you, Pickles.
for those who are not familiar, go to Camila's Random. Click on her blue name there. If you like cheesecake and you don't care if it's completely sugar-free and tastes goddamn amazing, better than it should, check it out. Check it out. So what's going on, everybody? I'm not sure exactly what we're going to talk about tonight. We could talk about world events. We could talk about magic. We could talk about other stuff. I do have a guest potentially lined up for a live call. So hopefully they'll be interested in calling in when we're ready to start talking about the coolest stuff. But I think tonight, instead of me pontificating for an hour before we do that, maybe we should go to questions and comments and things like that tonight. We'll start off there. We could talk about The Fly, if everybody want to talk about The Fly. That was a pretty funny moment in history. I guess you didn't watch the shit show last night.
Are you referring to the 80s movie?
Oh, no. Though some people memed that into it. We were playing games at the time, but I saw it on the reruns. What's up, Shaman Sorcerer? Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hold on. I gotta go. Shaman Sorcerer, thank you, says, you have a project going on. Cool.
Do we have a project going on? Well, we kind of do, yeah. I got the Shadowgate project. That's true.
There's always projects rolling on our end.
There's always something going on. So let's say hi to everybody. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Hello. I was actually just about to do that. We're on the same wavelength right now.
Wom.
I'm going to say hi to Andrea Bjor. I'm sure I did not mispronounce that at all.
I'm sure. Anarchos,
right. Conjure Mama, Dovahkiin, Elena L, Jennifer Vatsa, General 7, General 7,
Mm-hmm.
Jess Bots, Cracky Comics, Lilith Darwin, Mellowsloth 29, Neil Cohen, Nina the Mystic, Ross, Shaman Sorcerer, Sky, Steroid Maximus, The Angry Finger.
Thank you, Steroid. Thank you, brother. Thank you very much. He says he's got to split, but got to go early again, but he wanted to wish you a good show. Thank you, brother. You're always a great supporter and friend. Thank you so much. So, all right, cool.
And as a note tonight, I was able to get things working on my end. We will be able to take call-ins from the Discord server later when we open that up. It should work. But you know how things go on this show.
Yep.
So we're doing it live. So let's see how it happens.
So we've changed the name of this to Mind the Shadows with DH Thorne, or whatever the hell I put it up as, because Ghost to Ghost was taken. So we're going to put Mind the Shadows live call-in show every Thursday night. Flesh Priest and I come at you here with this just to hang out. And feel free to join us here every week. We talk about magic, spirituality, whatever the hell. It's always a good show. We do a call-in section. So later on, probably about an hour into the show, give or take, we take live call-ins. And tonight, I may or may not cut it early because, not early, when I say early, it's still going to be like a 2-hour show. But my wife and I are actually going, and Shaman Sorcerer just sort of brought it up, the Legion Project, the Shadowgate Project. My wife and I are probably going to a secluded location in the middle of the woods to look for an alternative site for the gate that I want to open, because the one I originally had plans, turns out they're probably going to have a lot of police activity instead of paranormal activity. It's going to be police activity that night. Ooh. So I'm probably going to skip that location and do a separate one that I've done before, but I've never opened a gate there before. So this should be exciting. It's got a very strong ley line vortex right at the top, and it has been the site of a lot of urban myths and legends. So I might shoot video from that and have something for you guys for that, potentially in the next couple of hours. So we've already got some good questions popping up. Let's cover those in a second. So in about an hour, give or take, We'll be taking your guys' call live. You can, Flesh Priest, if you want to pop that information up just so they can get it ready. And in about an hour, we'll be taking you guys live. And when we do, you're going to need to use Skype or the Discord channel that we have. However, you will not be using your video if you're shy, if you don't want to have your video shown. It's only going to be audio. You know,
you can see us. The people will not see you.
Right, and we can see you if you want, but you can turn your video off too. We're going to be literally just taking your audio from it and piping it through here. So that'll be great if you want to interact with us, have some questions. I do have a special guest who's already in the chat who will be jumping on when we start taking those calls probably first. And she's really awesome, and I promised her I want to do an interview with her forever. And this will be our chance. Hopefully she's still here watching, and if not, we'll do it another night. But depends on what she had available. Thank you, Shaman Sorcerer. If you want to take part in that, it's time's a little bit running out. We are doing, with that project, there's stuff for people who are, we'll say, properly initiated into the Shadow Current, that I know, that I can trust, that I feel like they're ready. But if you're not, there's things you can do for it. I do sell something that I get like 5 cents a sheet for. It's nothing. It's just so I can get so it's in the black, so they'll let me do it on Teespring. It's a set of stickers, but I'll talk to you about that privately since you're sort of somebody I already talked to.
And they look exactly like this.
They look exactly like that. I don't know where you got a copy like that. That's kind of plagiarism. I should probably sue you. But
oh, I know a guy.
Man, pissing me off over here. But yeah, no, it's cool. So, all right. So let's get with a couple of those questions. And I don't mean to be taking Flesh Priest's job, but if, because he does such a good damn job that I don't really.
Oh no, please do it.
Someone asked, what's the difference between a priest and a pimple? At least the pimple waits till puberty before coming on the altar boy's face. Fuck, I love that joke. I think we all love that joke.
Catholic priests. Don't be trying to throw old Flesh Priest under the bus here.
Hey, I mean, you're the one who took the title Flesh Priest. It's not like somebody gave it to you. Right?
Yeah, nobody gave that.
All right, let's see. We had a question. Watched by the Watchers. Do you guys have any experience with King Belial, or Belial, or Belial, or Belial, or there's a lot of different ways people like to say it, and his energy? I've heard a lot of mixed things about him from different black magicians. All right, Flesh, I'm going to let you go first because I don't think you have. Have you had any experience with King Belial yet?
I have not, no. I've only worked with a few spirits and not too much at that.
Okay.
He's not one.
So King Belial is one that I have worked with several times. It is not my go-to spirit. It wouldn't be like my patron, but it is a spirit that I have occasionally worked with. If you search my videos on this channel, you'll see at least 2 or 3 videos dedicated only to him or about him or talking about what he's shown me. King Belial or Belial, depending upon how you like to pronounce things. You know, the thing about King Belial, to me, he's represented mostly by the tarot card of the Tower. That's probably the best card to represent him because whenever he gets involved, whatever course of things you're asking him to do for you will almost always manifest in a way that is, I don't want to say destructive. It's more like he doesn't go around obstacles. He goes through them, and he'll drag you along with him sometimes to get you through the problems. And you will have your mettle tested. You will have things break down. And it's not that he's doing things bad to you. One of the things that magicians make a mistake of, especially in the beginning in magic, is they see the world in this black and white, it's a good thing, it's a bad thing mentality. They don't realize that bad things happen for a reason, so do good things. And things happen sometimes because you're supposed to learn non-attachment. You're supposed to learn not to be so stuck on these things. Other times they happen because that's how the energy is freed up to make the things happen that you want to happen. You know, if you're using Belial to get a new job or a new career, he might implode the career that you have right now to put the fire in your ass to make you go work your ass off to get that better position. King Belial tends to be very focused on your role, your authority, your rank, your position in society, and legal matters are very much at the forefront of things that King Belial tends to focus on. So you can kind of see where this is going. A lot of times people will work with King Belial and then there'll be some kind of problem that arises. Sometimes people work with King Belial because of these problems. And you know, a lot of people will go to King Belial because they have a legal matter. They have something that they need, you know, maybe someone suing them, or they're trying to sue somebody. And because he has a lot to do with that stuff. It has a lot to do with courts and things. Not everything to do with it, but it's one of the things he's very much associated with. But I would expect things to go a little chaotically. And for my part, the very first time I worked with him, I was reluctant to do so. And he kind of bitch slapped me over it. You know, I was kind of like, you know, I don't know if I want to work with you, King Belial. I heard what you do to people, and I don't want that. My life's pretty good right now. And I just felt like this huge energy drain. And he basically, you know, I was staring in a mirror, talking to myself, talking to him. And it came through as this, it came through like demanding that I literally demand that he fuck my life up. Like, I command you, fuck up my life. And yeah, within a month, some bad shit started happening. It was not even a week later. Bad things started happening, but because of it, I actually ended up with a lot more authority over some things because of it. So King Belial he's a good spirit to work with, but you got to have at least one of your balls has to be brass, or one of your ovaries has to be brass, because he will definitely put the fear of God into you, so to speak, if you aren't careful. So I hope that answers your question.
And we have another question from Shaman Sorcerer, the man.
Okay.
It says, do the shadows work with my Kundalini, or am I way off?
Yeah, you're kind of way off. If you pick up Shadownomicon, it will tell you a little bit more specifically what they deal with. Kundalini is not something that they're known to help you with, okay? They don't work with your Kundalini. Kundalini is a separate thing entirely. That's not to say that shadow work can't somehow apply to Kundalini, I suppose. You know, that makes sense. But, you know, shadow work, working with shadows, the shadow people, they're not there to teach you how to raise Kundalini. That's not how that works. That doesn't mean that it won't help you. You know, everything kind of, you know, synergizes when you're helping yourself. Things tend to work together and tend to improve things for you across the board when you're doing shadow work. Shadow work is, you know, people are sitting there saying, I want to raise Kundalini, I want to raise Kundalini. Have you faced your shadows yet? What's going to happen when you do raise that Kundalini? What do you think is part of that? You know, so what's blocking you? A lot of times it's shadow stuff, stuff you're not aware of. Let's see. So let me scroll up. I had another good question here.
Oh, I've got Camilla's being very good about writing down all the questions, so I can pop in with some whenever you want.
All right, I got my grape drink, so I'm good. Let's go.
I would be lost without you, Camilla. Thank you so much. Paranormal, SOMD. Any advice for automatic writing?
That's a really good question. Let's see. So, for automatic writing, it really kind of depends on what you're actually trying to connect to. To be brutally honest, when you're in the zone with something, when you are just at that edge of the theta state, between theta and alpha, your brain enters this state where you are 100% focused. And you don't necessarily think, things come out of you. That is a form of automatic writing already. So any writer, or musician for that matter, anybody who does anything creative, or even doing work, when you hit that kind of in the zone state, that's kind of what automatic writing entails, because you're not supposed to be planning every little step of what you're doing when you're automatically writing. You're literally supposed to just let go and just let things happen. So that's kind of like a higher level version of it. But the one we see in movies is where the person goes into some kind of retarded trance and they got drool hanging out of their mouth, and then like stuff happens, like it's got like a picture of like a demon on it or something. For my own part, when I experiment with that process, especially when I'm doing necromantic channeling, I do enter into as deep a trance as I can go. I try to get myself to a state where I'm not really thinking. I will take my paper, and I'll usually have it like loose leaf paper or something that I don't care, like it's not nice paper, it's paper I can move around and fuck with. I'll take my pencil, I'll put my hand, like I'll figure out where my positions are so that I don't run off the paper, because I close my eyes and I basically look away. I actually turn my body so that I can't look at it, and I'll put it to the side, and I'll just, at some point when it feels right, I'll just kind of like let my arm or my hand or something, And one of the best ways is to use your left hand, but I tend to use my right just because if I try my left hand, I get cramps, and it's not really good because I have a problem when it comes to carpal tunnel a little bit, and I tend to not write well already. My handwriting's already for shit. So, but you'd probably put it in your left hand. That tends to be a little bit receptive. You turn away from it and you just let your hand just go, and just kind of, you start by doing things like just make circles, make X's, make squares, and just let your mind go and just completely let it go. Don't think about what you're writing after a little while. You can start by thinking about it, start by drawing things and stuff to get it out of your system, then just let it go, completely let it go. And the only thing you might want to do is do it in a way where you're thinking about just following the lines of the paper a little bit. Like, that's all you really think about, is just so you don't get it all jumbled up into one big blob. You want to make sure it's got some structure to it, even if it's all over the page. And you might need somebody to change the pages on you. That does happen. When you're done, you sit and you spend some time looking at the paper, and you look for things that look like words or pictures or symbols. It's really that simple. You don't have to make it more complicated than that. You could, of course, work with any spirit that has something to do with those things. So you could try to conjure a spirit that helps with stuff like that. Any spirit that helps you speak to the dead. Any spirit that would teach you languages, perhaps. Divination spirits would be good if you're not trying to do necromantic arts. You're just trying to do automatic writing. But you can try it. And honestly, not everybody's capable of all the same gifts. If that's a thing you really want to try to do, just practice it and just keep doing it until you start getting results. And if you don't, maybe it's not the right one for you. Not everybody can do the same things. We have this mentality, especially in kind of like the Western Western magic traditions, that some of these things are like locks and keys, and you have to be able to do automatic writing to be a real magician and all this other stuff. It's not like that at all, guys. It's not even slightly, not even a little bit. So yeah.
And we have yet another super chat from Shaman Sorcery. He said, I read and interpreted that portion wrong.
It's possible.
Like, some reach Theta, but some, like me, seldom can reach it.
Right. Okay, so you all reach Theta, guys. If you go to sleep at night, you reach Theta. It's that simple. The Theta state is one of the states of sleep, and then you can go even one more down below that and be completely knocked the fuck out. So Theta is the dreaming state, and high Theta is kind of like daydream. Low Theta is usually like right around REM, if I remember correctly. So the Theta state of your brain is very useful, and when you're kind of edging on Theta and Alpha, you get into a really good state. You get into it. Now, I'm not sure exactly. E.A. Quetting has something he calls the Theta Gamma sync, and I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to ask him exactly what he means by that. But yeah, that could be. It could be what we're talking about. It could be what we're talking about. So I'll have to talk to him specifically to know exactly. Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
And hold on, I had it right here. So Cracky Comics asked, around a month ago, I was contacted by, always with the difficult names, Astari or Astaroth. It's what pushed me down this rabbit hole and got me interested in the channel. Do you have any advice on what to do or work on?
Yeah, that's a start or Astaroth. Yeah, a start or Astarte. You can say. Some people say Astarte. I kind of like saying Astarte, but I don't really. I've never worked with that spirit, Astarte, really, or Astaroth, really. Let's see. Do you have any advice on what to do or work on for that spirit? No, unfortunately, I don't. I've never worked with that spirit specifically. You'd think I would have, but I haven't. One thing you guys have to remember is that when it comes to what I do. My investigations into Western occultism are, rather high, but they're not as broad-reaching as some other people. I'm not the type who catches every spirit. I don't try. I'm looking more for personal ascension, not collecting a Rolodex. I'm not saying that's like what you should or shouldn't do. By the way, I'm not criticizing at all. It's just it's not one that I have, and so I don't have all of them. There's quite a few I have. I've worked mainly with the 9 Kings of the Goetia and a few other Goetic spirits. I've worked with a few other demons, a few outer gods, a few things here and there. I've done reviews on most of the ones that I want to talk about so far, but there's quite a few more to go, plus the shadow spirits that I talk about a lot. So if you're curious about what spirits I've worked with, you can go to my Demon in Review playlist. That's where all of them are lurking. So that's a good place to look. Yeah, Astarte, Dark Moongrave. Astarte, yeah. Astarte. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't worked with that spirit directly, so yeah.
I'm always fucked up because I'll read things in books and have no idea how to pronounce it.
Well, I mean, that's what Google helps with. I mean, you can look it up, but then there's also, like, one of the things that'll happen is some things are dead languages. So yeah, check Google, dude. Just Google it. My God, don't be lazy. A lot of things are dead languages. And so when you look them up, there's no right or wrong way to say it. You know, like thoth or toth or tote. You know, what's the right way to say it? You know, if we're going by the Greek pronunciation, I think most people think it's toth or tote. You know, something along that line, like almost like you're spitting, like toth. But it's, you know, honestly, it's one of those things where if you try to figure it out, it's kind of hard. Now, then you have things like Nyarlathotep. Now, I say it Nyarlathotep because Hotep is like part of the title. I forget exactly what the word means, but it's part of the title in Egyptian naming. So it's actually Nyarlet Hotep is the name of Nyarlathotep. Other people call it Nyarlathotep, is what other people say. They put it together and make a TH sound, a th. But I believe it's supposed to be Nyarlat Hotep, just like it's Amenhotep, or it's not Amenhotep, it's supposed to be Amenhotep. So, you know, look that stuff up. You can kind of find out. Yeah.
I forget, there was gonna say meme going around for a while comparing the great Lovecraftian old ones to ants and humans. Does that ring any bells to you?
There was a meme, yeah, and it was, yeah, I remember it now. It was this guy, you know, saying like it's kind of like an ant bringing you like a little offering to have you crush the queen and make you the head of the hive or something. Yeah, I remember something like that.
Yeah, and it might, you know, in this ant tongue, it might not be able to pronounce D.H. Thorne very well. It might be completely foreign, but it's getting pretty close. And if you heard a bunch of ants chanting your name from over there or something very close to it, that would be enough to pique your interest. Like,
I mean, for all you know, that's what that screeching at night in the summertime is. That's a whole bunch of insects trying to get your attention.
Thanks for the nightmares.
Yeah, really. So yeah. So all right, let's see.
Christian Goles, what do you say is the comparison between energy work and magic in your opinion?
Difference between energy work and magic, in my opinion. All right, let me focus here. Let me see if I can put this the right way. So energy work tends to be more about being sensitive to the flow of the astral body, the energy body of individuals and things around you. It's more like another sense of integration between what you perceive as material and what maybe has another component to it. So energy work, when manipulating energy, it's not unlike manipulating intention is probably the better word. It's like manipulating the intention of things in yourself and in your environment. And it's all based around a thought form usually. It's all based around a kind of a thought form that we create for that energy that we're talking about. So if we're talking about you know, say for example, using the chakra system, that's really working with the thought form. That's not to say there aren't centers of energy or awareness in your body. It's just that chakras themselves are a concept created by mankind. They're a thought form. Your astral body, same story. It's all thought form work. So it's kind of, on the one hand, not to sound like a skeptic, but it's basically like a form of let's imagine things. We're going to imagine stuff. Now, interestingly enough, however, you can feel it. You know, in my book, Become the Maelstrom, I do talk about creating a psi ball or an energy ball. It's a very important focus in doing magic. is being able to sense this energy in your environment to some degree, even if it's just imaginary, even if it's all in your mind. The ability to create a thought form that you can feel is really important. Even if no one else can feel it, even if you know that you can make one and I know I can make one and I can feel them and you can feel them and you send me one and I don't feel it, then that doesn't mean you didn't make one. It just means that it's a subjective experience. So don't worry about like, oh, I can send a Hadouken like in Street Fighter and knock somebody over. It's not what it's for. So energy work is also about creating flow and dynamics in your environment. If you are trying to, this is why Reiki masters will put a black and a white, a quartz in one hand and a obsidian in the other, and they set up like a flow, a current flow through their hands or through their body or in between their hands or whatever they're doing to align the different flows of energy in people. This is all like a thought form process. Your thought forms are part of the astral energy world. They are real in that sense, but they're not like electricity. But because the human mind tends to kind of think of things in a way that's like electricity or something like that, that's how we kind of interpret energy work, is it's a little bit like either heat or electricity or some mixture of the two. People tend to kind of conflate them as similar to that. They need ways to channel things, ways to focus things, things like that. Now, magic specifically, magic is a tough word, because magic is a word that, depending upon who you ask, has a dozen different meanings, to be honest. And if you're talking about in metaphysical, rationality in general, the word Maya that you hear a lot, that I say a lot, from non-duality, from Advaita Vedanta and all these other different, Indian systems of metaphysics, is a good word for magic. Maya means magic. It also means dream. It also means illusion. So magic is really just a Western word, in my book, in the way I interpret it, for the same thing that Maya means. Magic is literally everything that you experience right now. Like they say in those old sappy fantasy stories, that magic isn't everything. Well, it's true. Magic isn't everything. Magic is everything you see. That is all a product of magic. So that means energy work, technically, is a product of magic, of Maya. It is illusory. It is no more real than anything else that you think is real. And it's no less real either, because if something's not real, how can it be less real, right? So that doesn't mean things don't exist. That doesn't mean that there isn't, something. It just means that what you think it is an illusion, completely illusory. It doesn't matter. So magic is, if we're talking about magic as a form of having manifestations and outcomes, as a process, as a verb or something like that, then the difference between magic and energy work is kind of semantic. It's kind of like, oh, I'm doing energy work to achieve a result. Oh, I'm doing magic to achieve a result. Oh, I'm doing computer programming to achieve a result. It's just another tool. It's a word for a tool in that sense. So here we go. On the higher spectrum, magic is everything. Energy work is just one of the tools of everything. Doing magic is just one way of thinking about altering reality. But here's the rub, and I keep bringing this up in my streams because it needs to be said more. There is no such thing as cause and effect. What there is an eternal now moment. That's all that exists. There's only now. It's only ever now. There's no future. There's no past. You don't cause things to happen, but you cause experiences to be had. Now that's, to some people, not a very big difference. To some people, they think, well, if I'm causing an event, therefore I'm causing the experience of the event. But there's a very subtle but meaningful and important difference between the two things. If I take a gun and put it to my head and pull the trigger, in a mechanical mindset, I'm pulling a trigger and a bullet shooting through my head and I'm killing myself. From a metaphysical perspective, none of that is happening. What is actually happening is the experience of those things is happening. In other words, there is no gun, there is no bullet, there is no head, there is no me to kill. There is, however, a set of experiences that I've chosen to have. And I have made the rational argument for those experiences by playing with the illusion around me to make it happen. So by my act of picking up the gun, putting it to my head and pulling the trigger, maybe I shouldn't talk about suicide in this way because YouTube can get weird because it's not what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to give you like a really hard, like obvious example of something that people would say, well, it's
Go to
causing
the extreme.
What's that? Yeah, where'd the
Go to
stream
the
go?
extreme.
Yeah, I'm going to an extreme, exactly, because it's got to be a rock solid example. People would say, oh, if reality isn't real, let me shoot you. Say, well, I believe your bullet's real, so I'm going to have the experience of dying. But that doesn't mean that the bullet is real. It doesn't mean the gun's real. It doesn't mean I'm real. It doesn't mean any of this is real. It simply means that the experience is valid. So magic is, as a process, a way for you to manifest, and the word manifest literally means experience is the best. If you look up manifest, experience is one of the first, comparison words that they use to describe what manifest means. When you manifest or experience things using magic, you're not causing a change in the external world as much as you are causing a change in the self experience. And I'm getting a whole bunch of buzzes here, probably because because I know there's some arguments going on in the chat there. So,
oh, good, it's on your phone. I thought there was a time bomb somewhere in my room.
Yeah, don't text me on my phone because it never goes through when I need it to go through. Do it on Discord or something to the person who's texting me. Yes, if someone's being a rude jerk, get rid of them. In fact, I think I have them blocked. So I just block them. If they're being an asshole, block them. I gave him. I know who it is. It's Darky Lucy on JD's stream. I was nice to them. I'm sorry, I wasn't nice to them because they were being a nasty shit about Lilith, and I don't know what they're doing now. Apparently, they're pissing people off. So I gave them a second chance. They blew it. Get rid of them. Close them down. Kick them out. Not welcome here. Anyway, just that's what you get for giving people second chances, right? I know.
Okay, that's why I recognize the name.
Yeah, I know that I know that they have some kind of whatever, and like I gave them the benefit of the doubt, figuring it would just be like there was a misunderstanding last time, but no, I see that's one of the reasons why I'm a little distracted. I'm watching the chat of people just bye, goodbye, see. Yeah, Jennifer says same shit, different stream. Exactly, same shit. So anyway, I lost the plot. What was it? Go ahead, Flesh.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna lose the plot just for a second longer because I don't want to forget. Somebody, I'm trying to find who the fuck said that. Great idea for a different name for these streams: non-dualism and chill.
I like that. Non-duality and chill. But I thought we weren't supposed to talk about non-duality club. What the fuck are we doing?
True.
What I understand is I had them blocked. I don't know how they were still able to chat in the live stream. I don't get how that works, but whatever. I guess the blocking doesn't do what I think it does.
Whoever ping me, whoever came up with that name, I like that. Oh, it was an Arachnos.
Arachnos, okay. And put up the Discord info while do you have it up already? Yeah, you do. Okay, good.
Yeah, Discord is up. The name of the server is The Sanctum of Shadows.
The Sanctum of Shadows. A very DC Comics kind of like, ooh, look, it's where Batman learned how to be a ninja. It's almost like those guys. But I like it. I've always felt like we need a sanctum, a sanctuary where we can talk about what we want to talk about. So anyway, where was I? We were talking about, yes, magic and all that kind of good shit. So energy work is just another feature of the illusion. It's just another way to play the game. It's another way to give yourself an excuse for having a manifestation of the experience that you think you want to have. Let me put this in context for you. This is we're going to go around the bases a little bit. Hopefully I'm not beating this horse to death a little bit. When you have any experience in life, you create a rational story as to why it happens. And without that rational story, it seems insane or something like that, right? It doesn't make sense. So we really need to have a rational reason for things to manifest in our life. And because the dream that we're experiencing right now, the waking dream, has a certain spectrum of events and rules. Because the waking dream requires that I pick up an object before I drop it in order for it to fall. Because it has that reason and that logic and that rationalization, that means in order for it to fit in that dream, I have to pick it up and drop it. Now, what happens if I don't pick it up and it just levitates in the air? Well, most people would say, pinch me, am I dreaming? This can't be real. So immediately your whole idea of reality gets blown away. So magic tends to follow, not locked into, but tends to follow rational natural laws rather than betray them anytime you do magic. If magic was like Hollywood, where all I had to do was light a candle and say a curse into it and a person would burst into flames like in the movies, cool as that might be, that would be irrational. It would require a breaking of the laws of physics, which would require a lot more energy than any of us have to pour into a magic ritual, to be brutally honest. But even if you could do it, it would be so irrational that most people would rationalize it away as a fluke. It's, it was spontaneous human combustion, guys. That's all it was. It was, it was lightning. They got struck by lightning. So what you do as a magician, your mind is already open to the possibility that you can quite literally wish for anything you want to happen. It may not be easy, but you're aware that on some level, reality is a dream, and you have the right, like any dream, to become a little lucid and fly or do whatever it is you want to do. Now, the structure of the dream determines what's possible. If you're in the waking side of the dream, if you want to fly, you need a plane. But the creation of a plane is the result of magic that was done since time immemorial. People wished for planes forever, and eventually they figured out how to manifest the ability to fly. That was one way. There's probably a million other ways. There might even be a way to do it, without planes. I mean, you got wingsuits and cool stuff. So people aren't satisfied by that, though, are they? Because it's not magical. It seems too rational. It seems like, no, that's not magic because it's an airplane. That's not magic.
What?
Yeah, go ahead.
I swear it was EA who said it, and I forget if it was on a stream or if it was when we were just hanging out with him, but he said something about, just as we've progressed as a species, the what's the expression? It's always moving. The goalpost is always moving as far as proving magic. Like the things that we can do with this would have been magic to
even 20 years ago. Even 20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago.
Not even 100 years, 20 years ago. When I was a kid, when I was 23, if you showed me what you have in your pocket, I would be like, "Oh my God, it's Star Trek! Holy shit, this is so cool!" It would be literally like Hollywood magic. It would be impossible to do. Well, anyway, he also said something along the lines of anything that can be done predictably like that becomes a science and stops being magic in a way. It stops being a miracle, excuse me. Anything, it can still be magic, but anything that becomes predictably doable in magic stops being a miracle, becomes a science, becomes normal, becomes rational. One way I like to put it is this. Anything that you think of as mundane today, like an airplane or a car or a computer or even the ring on my finger would be hard to do 1,000 years ago, the way that they can do them today. Everything that we have in our world today is the result, it's a manifestation of magic that was already done, but it has become mundane because it's so normal to you. You're so used to it. So what's the difference between magic and mundane? Well, mundane happens every day. Magic doesn't, right? That's the perception. It's a false perception, but that's a perception we all have. So when someone asks me, Thorne, why do you rationalize magic the way you do? Why do you say that the Hollywood stuff isn't real, but somehow what you're doing aren't you just making mind games and mental tricks for yourself? Well, yes, I am. I fully admit that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm creating a mental conduit for my consciousness to go through so that I can manifest things impossibly through magic that shouldn't happen under rational, normal circumstances, the way that they happen. But then when I get the result, when I get the manifestation, I go, yeah, but that all makes sense. Everything I've done my whole life led up to that experience that I just had. So that leads me to conclude, and this is why I put it in Become the Maelstrom. Magical ritual, the things we do as intentional magic and ritual, is not actually what's doing the cause of the manifestation. The ritual is a result of the cause. The ritual is a result of the initial intention that you have as a godlike being, as a god, as a source identity, to manifest the experience that you want. So the ritual is just an excuse to have that experience, and not just the experience of the thing, because that's always the lower mundane thought. Oh, I want $1 million. No. Yeah, you might want $1 million, but the reason you're doing magic for the $1 million is because you want that experience of magic giving you $1 million. Because if you wanted $1 million and it was that simple, you'd go get a better job and play the stocks and become a big-time whatchamacallit. So what you're really trying to do is you're trying to have a magical experience. You're trying to have a a weird experience. The word weird with a Y, perhaps, WYRD. You're trying to have a weird moment, a moment of weird, a moment of real power, of elemental understanding of reality. You're actually trying to have a metaphysical breakthrough. You don't know that, though, because, well, maybe you do, but a lot of people don't know that because they're bombarded by television and movies telling you what magic is supposed to be. That's actually part of the delusion of, whatever you want to call them, that is sitting over all of us, that are making us, have lockdowns and bullshit right now. They don't want you to know that you have the power to manifest the reality that you want anytime you want. But it's not what your ego wants, it's what your higher self is really already decided to do. It's kind of like in the Matrix, I think it was the second or third one, when Neo asked the Oracle, blah, 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 whatever, and she says, you've already decided, now you're just learning to understand why you made that decision.
Oh, that was the first one.
That was the first one, okay. Yeah, Paranormal Somebody says, I don't know if he's saying this in correlation with what I just said, he's saying a what the fuck moment. That is exactly, it's synchronicity, it's Jungian psychology right there. You're looking to have your moment of synchronicity. So what is magical manifestation really? It's a moment of synchronicity between when you did the ritual and the result mysteriously happens. So in 2018, I'm working at a job as a lowly, guy. I wouldn't even say lowly, but that's what most people would say. They say, oh, he's a lowly, nurseryman. He's all muddy and fucked up all day, and he's not really in a place that's stimulating his mind, although it was, because it gave me plenty of room to think while I'm moving heavy trees around. Plenty of room to be in my own headspace. They would think, oh, that's not, no, D.H. Thorne is so much more this and that and artistic, and what's he doing that for? It's such a waste. But it wasn't. It was in preparation for what was to come. And then in 2018, I allowed myself a doorway. I created a gate, and gates are becoming the new big thing for my mind in magic to understand what we're doing. And I know I'm going off on all these tangents, but it's important you hear all this, because energy work is just a feature of this much bigger picture. It's one little, you don't even need to do energy work. Even though I highly recommend it as one of the keys to doing ritual magic, it is not the key to the universe. It is not. It's like, I don't know. I'm trying to give you a good example in your everyday life. It doesn't matter which mouse you use. So long as you use a mouse, your computer will work, right? That's one way to maybe put it. It doesn't matter what word processor you use. So long as you use one, you can write a letter, or a pen or something. So long as you use some medium, you can do things. And energy work is just one possible medium. People have done magic all around the world in every different culture and never understood energy work, even one bit. But they all, if you pay attention, all the good magicians, the shamans, the sorcerers, they almost all do some form of maybe unintentional energy work. They do dancing, they do singing, they do drumming, they do drugs, they do this and that, and they do things that change their experience through some gateway of experience. And energy work is just one possible gateway. It's just one example. So magic, when you manifest things that you want, you're trying to open a gate to the reality you're trying to experience. And that reality that you're trying to experience is not what your ego wants. What your ego wants is actually a result of your higher self kind of setting up a picture. And your ego is like the part of you that reacts to that. It's like having a little kid, and you're going boogie, 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 boo, boogie, boogie, and you're waiting for it to giggle or cry or whatever, and it's going to do whatever it does. That's kind of what your ego is like. You're more like this elevated thing that's hiding behind this goofy mask that you think is you. You just forgot because your life is so convincing. Imagine, just like in the movie, this is why the Matrix movie is such a good metaphor for what's really going on. If you really think about it, whether it's a computer simulation or not, you are experiencing a simulation. To me, there is no. I can have probably a debate with anybody on this and conclusively show that everything we experience is a kind of simulation. I don't know if it's a computer simulation, which it may be. I don't think so, though. I think our idea of a computer is a very flimsy idea by comparison to what probably is going on. Or it's some other kind of simulation. I can prove that because everything that you experience is simulated by your senses and brought into your mental processes, and then your consciousness experiences this as a simulation. When you experience having your hand cut off, your hand was already long cut off before you had the experience of the cutting, because there's a delay between when the nerves have the experience and when your brain processes it. So you're already experiencing a delusional memory of what happened. So I hope I'm making sense. I'm kind of like trying to throw open a lot of different windows here so that you can see the light streaming through, because there is no one simple explanation. You have to look at this whole big picture to really understand what magic is doing. So when you say, what's the difference between magic and energy work? To simply answer it, energy work is within magic. Magic is everything. But magic isn't necessarily what you think it is. So I'm going to shut up, and I'm going to thank you for coming to my TED Talk number 2 today. That's like the second one I did today.
You're just throwing magic at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Hey, why not? Isn't that what we all do?
Yep.
All right, let's see. What do we got? Any other good questions? What do we got?
I haven't actually. Hold on, let me go check.
Oh, dice controller. I saw a comment I want to comment on. Dice controller. Dice controller says, that would be cool if somebody could send DH a replica of Merlin's staff from the movie Excalibur. That would be cool. That could be cool. And I know they do make a staff that flames, but you know what I really want from that movie? I want his cowl. I want that metal cowl. I want to wear that on a live stream and have that thing just badass, like on my head, pow, just like metal on my. I want that. So if anybody here really good at making metal stuff, I don't know if I have to shave my head though, so I don't really want to shave it till it's like starting to really go bald. Like once it starts to really start receiving, I'm just going, it's all going to be gone. But until that happens, I'm just doing the sides. So because I could grow my hair back out and be like a full metalhead looking dude again, but I like the mohawk look better. So. But yeah, at some point when I start going bald, whoever's a good, maybe by then I'll be famous or something, and I can be like, hey, here's 10 grand, make me a cowl. I want one.
I know a guy who can hook you up.
Well, is it going to be made out of wood or metal? Because if it's wood, I might be allergic to the stains that they're using. I'm just kidding.
No, the metal.
That would be kind of cool, dude.
You know you already have a woodworker to hook you up with the staff.
Yeah, I do. The thing is, it'd probably have to be a soft, light metal. Like I'm thinking like aluminum or something, because it would have to be soft too. Because if it's like steel or something, that could be like, it's going to rust and it's going to stain. I want something that's going to be able to sit on my head. You know what? Forget it. Because if I wear metal on my head, I'm a sweaty guy most of the time, especially when it's hot. I can only imagine a thing turning like black within like an hour of me wearing it, like so much rust. And Shaman Sorcerer says, thank you, brothers and sisters. Have a great night. Thank you, Shaman Sorcerer.
You know what happens if you do start to go bald? We'll make that cowl out of copper. So we'll just stain the top of your head to look like hair.
Well, it would be green. It would turn green. It would get stuck to my head because the green oxidation would...
You're not wrong,
be green
but...
within 15 minutes. Probably wouldn't even make it an hour.
So here's a question. It's a little bit of an old question I have from the archives.
Okay.
Brandon Knight says, what's the moment of gnosis that most changed the course of your life as you look back on everything? If you have the go-ahead to talk about it.
Moment of gnosis. Well, I would probably say the one that I talk about pretty frequently, where I was watering the bushes at work. At least in recent memory. It would be hard to say just one.
A vlog immediately after that?
No.
I feel like I remember watching that and you snuck out like, hey, I'm at work right now, but I need to record this.
No. Because that was I had that experience in like 2015. I might not have even met you yet, or I had just met you or something. It was a long time ago.
Not if it was 2015, yeah.
Yeah, it would have been a long. I don't remember exactly how many years ago. I for some reason I can't place the year. It was like 2016, 2017, 2015, 2014. It was something like that. It was definitely, yeah, the moment of Zen. Tara knows what I'm talking about. My moment of Zen. As I described it to JD, when I described it to him, he's like, dude, that sounds exactly like you had an ayahuasca trip, but without the ayahuasca. I'm like, yeah, that's probably what it felt like. It felt like that, but very limited and very minor by comparison. It felt, and I've never had a trip, but I can already speculate the amount of vividness I had in that moment versus what they probably experienced when they're doing psychedelics. What I had was the more balanced version you get from a lot of meditation, because I had achieved pretty much constant empty-minded state at will at that point. I remember there was this one day I was getting ready for work, sitting on the bowl, like we all do, and I was getting ready for work, and I was listening to, I think it might have been Eckhart Tolle, but I forget exactly. I'm not a big fan of his, believe it or not. But I was listening to him, or it might have been him, or it might have been someone who was talking about him. That might have been what it was. But it might have been him, and somebody was talking about how, thoughts are not the natural state of your awareness. Thoughts are basically like, Thoughts are a thing you experience, they're not a thing you do, that kind of thing. And I had already achieved the ability for short periods to empty my mind of thought, but I thought to myself, well, what if I literally just said, fuck it, I'm not going to focus on my thoughts for at least an hour. Like longer than I would ever for meditation. Let me really, because I would meditate for 5-10 minutes here and there, and I would get it for a few minutes here and there. But I never really went for like that gung-ho, let me do like a Zen Buddhist would do, or some other person who meditates like that. I never really tried to do it that way. And I sat there, and my brain cleared up. You know, I let the last thoughts go, just like I normally would do. And a thought might creep in and I would just ignore it. I'd let it happen and I wouldn't focus. I wouldn't follow it up with a stop thinking or anything like that. I just let it go. And within about a minute or two, I realized I was brushing my teeth, getting ready to go, getting my pants on. I hadn't had a thought, not a conscious thought had gone through my head again. Nothing. There was total silence in my head. Not pictures, not words, nothing. I was fully invested in every moment of what I was doing. Everything I was doing was just naturally happening. It was like I felt almost that observer feeling, although I knew I was the observed as well. I felt a sort of attach-detach, but it wasn't a disconnect. It was just like, instead of thinking about everything I'm doing, I'm just doing it. Now, to most people, that's a very rare thing. Some people can do that naturally. It's not that hard. I'm not special. Anybody can do this, and in fact, most people do sometime in their life. They just don't realize it. When you're in that state, though, you're letting a lot of shit go because that echo chamber is kind of shut down. You're not thinking about negativity. You're not thinking about things that confuse you. The more you have thoughts, the more you put labels on everything. And the more you label everything, the less likely you are to realize those labels are illusions and that the object itself is illusory in nature. The more you think about it, the more you think it's this big, it looks like this, here's a visual image of it, the more you put these illusory concepts on it, the harder it is to accept that it doesn't exist the way that you think it does. So when your brain is clear for a while, it's kind of inevitable that you're going to have, at some point, a kind of revelation. This is why meditation is so important to so many different cultures and traditions. Even when you can't clear your mind and you're focusing intently on a prayer, at some point the prayer becomes gobbledygook noise. When you recite a prayer over and over and over and over and over, I mean, if I do it right now, just say over and over and over and over and over. If I do it enough, the word over and over disappears and it just becomes a sound. And when that happens, you can just keep doing that sound without thinking about it anymore. It just becomes a blah. Well, thoughts are like that. You can focus on a single thought so much that it goes away. And it becomes an empty spot in your head. Because it's just like anything, when you experience it repetitively enough, your body tunes it out. So when you tune out your thoughts like that, you will eventually, potentially, either be liberated from those thoughts, or you'll find a new thought to attach yourself to. And if you resist the urge to attach to a new thought by following it, in other words, if a thought comes and you just let it go, like let it go through your head and don't chase it with another thought, you'll start to realize that you're not thinking thoughts. Thoughts are happening and you're becoming aware of them or unaware of them at your leisure. So in other words, you don't, how do I put this? Where do your thoughts come from? What thought creates a thought? So if I say to you right now, imagine this, you can quite literally imagine whatever I tell you to imagine. What's causing you to imagine it, though? What part of you is creating the thought? So in other words, the idea behind the thought doesn't need a thought for the idea to be present in your consciousness. Everything that you think a thought is generally housed on the left side of your brain. And meditation, proper meditation, quiets this side of your brain so that the left and right hemispheres talk to each other. And they talk to each other internally in a way that is much more fluid and stops being chattery. And once the chatter is gone, the intention is not to make the right brain the focus of thinking, it's to unify the two sides so that you think when you need to and you don't think when you don't need to. So, was that the biggest gnosis in my life? No, but without that, I couldn't have had that experience where I was empty mind listening to Alan Watts and just celebrating what he was saying, enjoying what he was saying, recognizing that it was stuff that I already knew. It wasn't anything I was learning. And I'm not saying that like an ego trip, like, oh, look at me, I knew it all already. It was important to me that I already knew what he was saying. It wasn't like I learned a new idea. Rather, I was learning a new way to string the concepts together so that I could accept them as true, as a conscious ego. So it's like, I felt like, yeah, I know you're right, but how do you explain this? Because if you can't explain it, I don't want to accept it. That's quite literally what my skeptical rational mind had adjusted itself to for years. I was such a rational skeptic that if you couldn't convince me in logic, I had a hard time with it. And listening to Alan Watts kind of gave me the perspective I needed to say, wait a minute, I think he's right. And when I allowed myself to think that with an empty-minded state, I had a moment where that detachment that I told you about when I had no thoughts was magnified. And I felt like I was yanked out of my personal body, but was still fully invested in it at the same time. And I had like a mind within mind vision of me pulling back and away from myself while I'm watering these bushes, thinking to myself, I'm not watering the bushes are watering themselves. The water is bushing itself. And I'm like, oh shit, as I'm having this experience. I'm pulling back and away. I'm becoming aware of more and more, and I'm zooming out like an out-of-body experience, and I'm feeling, in my mind, I knew I was feeling what it was like to be everything in my experience. And as I pulled away, I'm like, I'm not ready for this. I don't know. I want to finish. Like, what about my wife and my kid and my dog? I want to go back. And boom, I sort of came back, and I can only describe it indirectly. I can't tell you what a tree feels like. I don't have the language. I can't tell you except to know that I felt things wiggling through my flesh as the earth. I felt a lot of stuff. And as I pulled back, it got to be so much I couldn't concentrate on it all. I started tuning that out. I started only focusing on bigger and bigger things. And I just like, and I came back. And it wasn't as vivid as I would imagine, a psychedelic trip to be. But it was vivid enough. It was like a really strong, like if you ever had a bout of like micro sleep, a daydream where you like fall asleep for a second and you see something that's not there. It was kind of like that, just not as vivid as a deep dream. So hopefully I'm making sense to you guys. If you do heavy meditation, if you do heavy magical work, stuff like that, you don't need psychedelics. Psychedelics, however, are a shortcut, but they can be a good or a bad one depending upon the individual. By the way, YouTube, I'm not endorsing nor denying anything here, but it is an option. But it's from my understanding, my experience talking to people, I am when I'm talking about these things, psychedelics is the closest thing people have said is doing psychedelics and having a good trip of that ego disillusionment moment. It's basically what I had, a moment of ego dissolution. And that moment of understanding that I am not limited to just this guy, and that this guy is a story that all of this is telling, and so is everything I'm experiencing a story that's telling itself. When I realize this is all just a story, and that I can interact with it any way I want to, then it wasn't far from there to start picking up magic and doing it intentionally, because I realized that all the hocus pocus was just another symbol to interact with, to enjoy. Kind of like playing a role-playing game, except this role-playing game can change things in your life, because if you ride it as a wave of potential, if you use it as an excuse for why things happen sometimes, it doesn't matter if it's scientifically proven or not. Do magic stuff happens. Whether magic caused it or not is irrelevant, because nothing causes anything. This is why you hear it's kind of joked around a lot among people that when someone reaches a certain state of spiritual awakening, the idea of time stops being relevant to them. And you hear this as a joke. Oh, you're so enlightened, time has no meaning. It's not a joke, guys. You can have, I don't mean that you don't wear a watch. You still wear a watch. You still go, well, I got to be here at this time, because you don't want the experience of being late. But time itself is an illusion. Time itself is a concept. It's a story that you're telling. It doesn't exist. In the Fibonacci sequence, it's the number 4. It's not there. You have the 3 dimensions. You have 1 and 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4 is empty, and then 5. Why? And the ancients always assigned time to the number 4, and we still do. We call it the 4th dimension. It's a shadow. It doesn't exist. It's not real. Shadow is an illusion, including the shadows that I work with. They're illusory in nature. They're extractions of your own self, and they manifest out of you, but they're illusory in nature. Well, we use our illusions all the time. That's how we live our life. That's how we go through our life, because that's what works for us as identified beings. But every once in a while, we kind of break through that illusion, and we recognize that it is just that. And when we do that, some of us are labeled as crazy. But you can tell the difference between the crazy ones, because the crazy ones will tell you, oh, I was possessed by this spirit last night and I floated around the room and all hell broke loose and blah, blah, blah. And they don't have a higher perspective of things. So they've actually gone deeper into the dream rather than waking up from it a little bit. The one who's awake will say, yes, you probably did have that experience. I don't doubt your experience, but I do doubt the objectivity of the claim, because nothing is objective really. It's all subjective, and what we agree upon becomes objective reality. So anyway, I'm kind of going all over the place, but look it up. If you look up, Dia Phoenix is talking about the number 4, look it up. I think it was Pythagoras. The ancients assigned time to the number 4 as well as much as we do today. And there's a reason for that. There's a very big reason for that. The Fibonacci sequence, if you understand Fibonacci, you understand phi, you understand the golden ratio, you understand the true meaning of the Pythagorean triangles and all this kind of good shit. When you understand where the pentagram actually comes from, everything will start to click. You'll start to go, okay, so we're really experiencing a fractal. And our experience of reality is an interpretation of that fractal equation. The fractal equation is the fractal. In math, you have an equal sign. And something on one side is equal or the same as the thing on the other side. So when you do the math for a fractal equation, the math that emerges, the beautiful mosaic of stuff, is the same as the equation on the other side. It is the seed. It is the one number. It is the one thing. And when you put them together, that's boring as fuck. So what do? You look at the fractal pattern, because that's way cooler than a string of numbers. If you do the math of a fractal, which I can't, I have to use a computer or whatever to do it. When you do the math for the fractal, you get an output of all these numbers, an infinite loop of numbers, an infinite sequence of numbers. That's boring as shit to look at. So what do? We plug it into a computer or a graphing program, and we make a graph out of it, and then we get these beautiful patterns. Well, that's a simplistic fractal. That's a fractal that is a fraction of what's really going on. The reality is a much bigger fractal. It's a much bigger chaos pattern that is hyperdimensional, not 3-dimensional, not 4-dimensional, it's hyperdimensional. And your godlike awareness experiences this, whatever this is, and turns it into the dream that you're having, that you think is today and tomorrow and your left foot. So I think I've been harping a little bit on this. What do you think? Am I boring you guys?
Oh, I think we all tune in for the harping.
I hope so.
I really want you to take on a pseudo ASMR voice for one of these streams one day.
What's that?
Just because maybe it's because you were talking about Alan Watts, but some of the stuff you say definitely deserves to go over some lo-fi hip-hop.
Oh, fuck yeah. Well, I need to calm myself. You'll notice, like, when I talk on a live stream, I'm way more animated. And when I talk to you, I'm way more animated. I'm a little bit of a chameleon personality, and if I'm talking to the right person, I suddenly can become very mellow and very good at talking any way that I want. But I have to be with the right people. Like, if I'm with the wrong people, I can't do it. You got silent for the rant. Thank you, Dia. Anyway, guys, I agree, though, with Nia the Mystic. If you're here, there's 63 of you here, minus whatever hater might be here right now. Hit the like button, please, because that helps. Everything helps. If you can't contribute to the chat, or you can't, hit the like button for me. Show me you love me. And if you don't love me, hit the hate button. That still puts me ahead in the algorithm. That's awesome. Hit the thumbs down. Fuck. In fact, everybody change it to a dislike today. I'm just kidding. That would be. It doesn't hurt, guys. Whichever one you want to do, give me one of them. It puts me ahead in the algorithm. It helps. Yeah, spoken word for sure. It's it's one of the things that I have is I need a person. Like I'm not as good at just talking to a camera sometimes without something to reflect off of. I'm too empathic, I guess. I'm too, like I can talk to myself all day long, but I can't do it in a dramatic way. I'm just like boop 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 boop. It's just, or I don't think at all. It's just emptiness, and I just know what I want to say. But to have a person helps me to kind of figure out what to say and how to put it. So, yeah. Can you discuss depression being a dissolution to reformation? Depression being a dissolution to reformation. So if we're talking about emotional depression, if we're talking about that, if I'm understanding that question a little bit, being a dissolution to a reformation. I'm not quite sure I understand the question, Kiana. If you want to maybe...
Oh, you know what? As a really quick thing, we have hit the hour mark.
Oh, okay.
So I have the little blurb up on my screen. If any of you want to call in, message Flesh Priest on Skype. I should be the only one. Or if you're part of the Discord server, go ahead and shoot me a direct message or ping me or something, and we'll see about getting you on.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. So, all right. It's supposed spiritual. Yeah, I'm not quite sure, Kiana, what she wants to know. Can you discuss depression being a dissolution to a reformation? If you mean like having depression as a result of that dissolution, is that what you're talking about? That's something I've never personally experienced, but I do kind of understand. I think what happens is when people have a moment of ego dissolution, they never last forever. No one dissolves their ego forever. It doesn't work that way because your ego is not what you are. So you don't dissolve your ego. Your ego is a story that you're telling, and so long as you're alive, you're going to be experiencing an ego. It's just part of the toy. So depression can result because your ego goes, oh man, I guess everybody around me is an illusion and I'm an illusion, and reality can kind of feel meaningless to that ego. So nihilism is an ego feeling. Nihilism is the knowledge of what is without the acceptance of what it really means. People will say, oh, life has no fucking meaning. I hate it. There is no purpose to anything. God, I fucking hate life now. And I go, what? That means you're free. Give it whatever meaning you want. In fact, the fact that you're mad that it doesn't have a meaning means you're giving it meaning already. You're doing it right now. Like, why are you upset? You're doing exactly that. So, I don't know if that's what you mean. But I hope if it is, I'm touching on the right direction of what you're asking, Kiana. And if not, I do apologize. I know it can be tough to type everything out, especially when you got to do it all in caps to get my attention. So if I'm misunderstanding your question, you can always come online. Actually, you can actually call us when we do the open call part. So if you want to download Skype real quick, you could potentially call in with that question, and maybe I can grill you a little bit more directly to see if I'm understanding you right. So
Skype, Discord, Smoke Signal, Messenger Pigeon, I can take it all now.
Yeah. And source adversary, yeah, the problem with denying the ego, the old doctrines don't say denying the ego. It's a lot of modern New Age love and light people talk about denial of ego and destruction of ego and all this kind of stuff. You can't destroy a thing that doesn't exist. What you do is you see it as an illusion. Your ego's not real. Your ego's a mask you're wearing. And people who say, well, you have too much ego, you need to destroy your ego, you have to do this, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, again, the modern Buddhists are nothing like the doctrinal Buddhists from the old times. They completely get things wrong. And when I say wrong, I don't mean that they're wrong necessarily in their spiritual view. I mean from the traditional perspective of what it was originally meant. If you look up the old, and there's a channel, Theoria Apophasis, that I'm always quoting. He's excellent with this shit. I'd love to have him on, but he'd probably ridicule me the whole time because he's a little bit of a salty motherfucker. He'd probably ridicule me the whole time for being a black magician and doing this stuff. And he'd be like, you're an idiot. You don't know anything about anything because you're doing magic and rubbing crystals. He hates all that shit. But the guy knows his shit. And I love the guy with a passion. I would hang out with that guy, even if he made fun of me. I would hang out with that guy. But
I think that would be fun as fuck.
I don't know if I could deal with it though. My ego's too big, man. I don't know if I could have a little bald fat guy calling me names, dude. I don't know if I could do it. I love him though. Like he is awesome. He's like one of my favorite channels on the internet. Like honestly, he really is. And he does like the same video like every couple of weeks to talk about the same things because he's got so many viewers that he has to like redo them all the time. So I love that guy. Thank you, Source. I love you too, brother or sister, whatever you are, Source. Thank you very much. Yeah, so,
They are the source.
yeah. But in case of what I'm saying is not jiving, go check out that guy's channel, and he talks about doctrinal Buddhism, and it's fan-fucking-tastic how he lays it out, even though it's a little confusing because he doesn't. He's actually worse of a speaker than I am, and I don't consider myself a good speaker like some people do. All right, so let's jump to the phone lines. Has anybody called in yet? Do we have our special guest? Are they waiting yet? Special guest, if you have not, call. Message.
Yes, we do, in fact. Hold on. We do, in fact, have one guest lined up. And because I forgot my earlier blurb, hello, all you beautiful bastard bitches and non-binary witches.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
That was edgy, dude.
That's about as edgy as bismuth.
Okay.
So for those who are just joining us, we are doing a call-in show tonight. So if you're interested in calling in after the next guest or two, we'll probably have a slot open. So feel free to look at the information on the screen, and we will put you in the order that calls are received. And we have Necro Nicki in the house. What's up, Necro Nicki? What's up? Okay, yeah. Whenever you're ready, drop it on us, man. Whoever we got ready.
Summoning.
Do we have a name that they want to be known by?
Oh, yes. This is Elena.
Alana.
From Limitless Liberation.
Yes. Oh, I know who this is. Alana, we summon you into our ritual chamber. What's up?
Well, you're really good at work.
Wow, it was like almost instant. You're quick to show up. We're going to put in the grimoire that Alana is very fast to appear when you call her correctly.
Yes.
Don't even have time to finish the ritual and just boom. What do you want?
Boom,
That does happen too, doesn't it? So for those who don't know, Alana is actually a wonderful artisan. She creates some of the most coolest resin sculptures I've seen for a while. Not the only one in the world, but certainly some of the best, and they're all for people who do left-hand path style magic for the most part. And you created my beautiful altar top. Like you really like went out of your way and made this awesome thing. And for those who haven't seen it, I do have a review of it. But tell us about yourself, Elena. Is it Elena or Alana? We've never actually spoken.
Elena.
Elena's good. Okay.
Elena.
You were wrong,
Okay.
Flesh. You were wrong. You must be flogged. Let's flog him.
I'm wrong with every name
Flog.
on here.
No.
Don't
But
worry,
to be fair,
I don't
everybody's
get
wrong with
offended.
my name.
I'm horrible with names.
So am I.
Yep.
I forget my own name. Which one am I doing today?
And your shit is awesome. I'm actually gonna plug
Thank
it in
you.
chat here in a
Thank
second,
you.
especially as a woodworker, especially that Lucifer altar top is fucking.
Yeah. That's what made me
Yeah,
ask her, like, do you do altar tops? And if you do, I would like one. So while I'm looking for a good screenshot of my altar top for people who don't know, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what you do.
That's the hardest thing. I hate talking about myself.
Just talk about you. You're under no pressure to get it right. It's completely just do it perfect.
How about I tell you how
Oh,
I
you
got
say no pressure, but
started
it sounds
on
like a lot of
this.
pressure.
It
Yeah,
is a lot of pressure.
Tell us about your practices in magic, such as they may be. High level, low level, and why you decided to do what you're doing.
Well,
what are you doing?
Honestly, what am I doing? I don't even know. But no, honestly, what started me on this was Belial, which I thought was pretty funny that you were talking about him just a while ago. He was the one that actually pushed me into starting this whole resin thing. Okay. And it was really with a charger, like those simple, stupid little chargers. Well, I say stupid, but they're just easy.
Right.
And they're so, you can use them for so many different things. But he was like, make this. And I'm like, I don't make stuff. Because at this time, I was not doing anything. And he kept showing me this thing and showing me this stuff. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I kept like just brushing him off. Like, I don't know what to do. And then these things started showing up like in my YouTube feed, up on Facebook. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll look at this. So I just started watching stuff and I'm like, all right, I'll take a go at it. And so I made one for him. And then Lucifer's like, him? And I'm like, all right, I'll make one for you. And so I was using it in my practice. And that's really what all it was for me. I thought that's all they wanted. And then I put it up on a Facebook page, and somebody started saying, hey, do you sell these? I'm like, no, I never thought about that. It's for me. Oh, I'll take some off of you. I'm private messaging you. And it pretty much went from there. And I'm like, okay. So I just put a star out there, and then people just kept messaging me. And then I had spirits lining up. Basically, the easiest way to explain it is just like tapping me on the shoulder, like, hey, I want this, make this. And then it was Lilith who kind of was like, pyramids.
Pyramids are awesome, because they do have that whole triangular
this
element.
Power, yeah. And that's what she was explaining. And I think she was the first one that I actually made for the inner pyramid. So she was the one that actually kind of like guided me to put those inner pyramids in. And honestly, everything is such a blur at this point, because I feel like there's not enough time in the day for me to get to everybody. And somebody showed me to make the chargers, and it might have been, I want to say it might have been one of my friends' Citri pyramids that has the first charger I ever put in one. And there's something about the combination between the inner pyramid and the charger and the items that actually go into the charger that just elevate the energies in them. And like I said, I use it in my own practice. And there's so many ways to use them. You could meditate on them. They help in rituals. I think I put a whole little spiel in the, item descriptions of them, like directing energies, an anchor for a spirit, and people just get their hands on them, and they talk about how they could just feel the energies in them. And a lot of the times it has really nothing to do with me. I don't think I'm doing anything. I'm just the hands in the whole thing. And a lot of times you were just talking about going into that state.
Yep.
That's pretty much what happens when I'm making them, which is a lot of times like, I'll go into my workshop, I'll throw in some music. And then there's a point where I have no idea like what time it is, what I'm doing. And I'll have like quite a few things already made. And I'm just sitting there looking at it like, holy crap, how the hell did this just happen? It's like, so it's like I said, I have a hard time taking the credit for it, because I just don't feel like it's me.
Right. You feel like you're being guided a little bit. I know exactly
what you mean. I definitely am.
Yeah, that happens to me when I was doing my writing. So like that's allowed. Now I don't know if my wife can do it. She's got one of your pyramids, which maybe she'll get if she can. But if she can't, I don't want to push her, because she might have to drop what she's doing. But honey, if you're listening, if you're able to go grab your Leviathan.
Oh, she has I was gonna say she has the Leviathan.
Yeah, that one was gorgeous. I was a little jealous. I was definitely a little jealous. If she can't, she can't. That's fine. So no pressure, sweetie.
Well, you're going to be getting your black one soon.
I'm looking forward to, like, we got to talk about, I have like 2 or 3 things I still want from you. You got that incense thing we were talking about. I still want oh my goodness, shining trapezohedron. I still want to have all this stuff made. So
I actually have that sitting on my top shelf. I just have to make a mold for it, because it's out of wood right now. So then I just need to make a mold to pour the resin into.
And I got
you on that.
And I need money. Yeah, no, it's so everybody. If you want to see me get one, no. So this is the Leviathan pyramid that she did. My wife snatched it up the minute she saw it, and it's beautiful resin. I love how you do the inserts. Now sometimes you actually have wine offerings placed in them.
Yes,
and it's like a permanent wine offering and stuff. Like that is just. So
wine. Belial likes the whiskey, and he doesn't like the cheap stuff either.
Right. Now, do you make these as orgone
taste.
generators generally, or is that just an option? Like, I don't think all of these are meant to be orgone, right? Some of these are orgonite, and some of these are not. I think is what. Do you do orgonite at all?
I think I have a few on there. I'm trying to think what's available right now. I think there's like 2 or 3 that are true organites, But the pyramids, like for the spirits, they aren't true organized. I've heard people call them that because that's just
what they
the
look
general
like.
shape,
Yeah,
and people go, "That's what it is."
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah, because
all right,
organite is a
whatever.
specific matrix of different things put together in layers.
Yeah, it's like
and,
metal. It's got to be metal rocks and like a certain, yeah, exactly what you're saying, like a certain thing. And I started that, like that was an initial, like just playing around, kind of trying to get a feel for making stuff and how it works. And I just looked at the field and I mean, it's flooded. So many, you want to have an organite pyramid. I mean, you could just type it in and there's like,
and it's like a million of them.
millions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So let's talk a little
And
bit
then-
about, I don't know if you can see what's on the screen because I know you might have turned the stream off or silenced or whatever.
I
but,
did.
if you can turn it on without having sound, I don't know if you can do that. But if you watch the stream right now, I've got pictures of the altar you made for me up on the screen. I wanted to talk just a minute about the features and the things you put into my altar top. And I've got a friend who loves your work with a passion. He bought one too, but slightly different.
Yes. Yes.
So you had done, for those of you who are looking at the screen right now, so I have a beautiful, picture of it with Lucifer sitting on it, looking kind of miserable. That was actually the first spirit that I worked with on it. But for those of you looking at it right now, you'll see in the very center of the Trinity there is a blackness, and that is normal. That's how it's supposed to be. But you'll see that there is there's like a disc, and that is actually really special because inside the disc, on the top left, you'll see what's actually inside of it. So you actually got crystal points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, quartz.
Quartz points, and you connected them with copper wire so that they would you twisted them together, and you created sort of a circuit for those to manifest in the center. And I think you said that's all obsidian in the center for scrying.
It was all like crushed obsidian.
Mm-hmm. So it's finely crushed obsidian turned into a black mirror. I mean, how freaking cool is that? In fact, my wife, she's experimenting with making mirrors.
Hers are gorgeous.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I love them. And one of the things we want to do is maybe you two could collaborate at some point and you make the mirror surface itself and somehow like she connects them. I don't know. Maybe you guys could work together. That's my dream. I don't know if you guys want to do that with each other. And get together and do that together. But anyway, so you put this in the center, and then the exterior is got a combination of flaked gold and crushed obsidian again. And it's sturdy. It's beautiful. If wax falls on it, you just scrape it off. It's beautiful. So is there anything I'm missing there? What else went into this? I know that it took you 2 months, I think it was, all the work you put into it.
Yeah, yours was the absolute, now I can do them, and I think I got Josh's done in under a month. Oh no, probably about a month, I think it was. But yours, since it was the first, it was and I had no idea what I was doing at that point because I had only done altar tables with wood. And then you were like, no, not wood. Can you do it like this? I was like, all right, let me think outside the box here. And again, it's like one of those things, like if I sit and I just think about the problem and try to attack it from all these different angles. And then all of a sudden one morning, I'll just wake up and go oh my God, aha. And it's, I don't feel like it's my thought. And I figured out what to do, how to lay it out. But then I realized I had to make my own mold. So that was fun, in that size, because I could make the smaller ones, but one in that size I've never done before. So that took a while to make. But once we did that, then it took, I think your table was 2 gallons of resin.
Yeah.
And I think your table weighs,
Damn.
I want to say 27 pounds or 24 pounds. It's something like that.
It was heavy. I mean, I don't move it around much because when I first wanted to show it, I was like, oh, I'll just hold it up in my hands and put it on the camera. I'm like, ha ha. I mean, it's easy for me to move. I'm not weak. But it's no, that'd be a pain in all my asses to move that thing around on camera. It's much easier to move the camera around it. No, it's
the post office was not happy with me when I brought it.
I wasn't happy to pick it up, to be honest. That thing I just stopped doing heavy work. No, it's really heavy and strong. And I mean, you gave me a great deal on it. I know that it was a labor of love and it was a first run. And
it was, and it was fun. Like I said, it was a definite learning lesson. Mm-hmm. There was a few things like that I hit a wall with, but I learned from it. And then, like I said, the second one, It went a lot smoother because it was
Sure.
like, oh, I had already worked out all the bugs
All the
here.
bugs, yeah, and you make them in different
Yeah.
sizes now too. So if people don't want to spend a lot,
A
they can-
giant one, yeah.
Right, you can
they
get
can
a-
get a smaller one.
right, you just put it right on your table, and now you can use it as a scry mirror even, and just go for it. So just so people know, at the moment, we're friends and good friends, and you are the only one I'm licensing to make these with my sigils and things on them. So if you guys are interested in these specifically, this is the only place you can go, and it will stay that way for, I guess, forever. We'll see. As long as you're doing them, you do such a great job. So if you guys want them, this is who you got to talk to.
I'm so dying for someone to take that pyramid with the Trinity, because I want someone to work with that in the worst way. I'm interested because I know what it feels like.
I like the fact you have it at an angle. Like one of the things people don't realize is that there is a sort of I don't want to say it's superstitious belief, but some people suggest that the proper angle for anything scrying or gate oriented is like 45 degrees or close to it, or some angle that's not perfectly up and down or flat. And having the Trinity on that really, to me, is a great idea. In fact, when I get money, I'm going to get a better pedestal to put the altar you gave me on. I'll have it so I can adjust its angle and stuff. That'd be really cool. And
that would be.
But I love your work, and
Thank you.
There's a lot more stuff that's going on the Christmas wish list. I mean, I may not be Christian, but I still call Santa every now and then.
Don't we all?
So I don't know if you like talking prices. Shaman Sorcerer did pay for the question. He says, magnificent. How much for that behemoth? So I don't know if you like talking prices like that on a project you haven't put together, but what can you say about your prices for stuff like this?
Something like that is an investment.
Yeah, resin is expensive.
Yeah, it is. I mean, by the gallon, it's over $100 just to, just so you know. And then it's months of labor or a month of labor, depending on the size. But if anyone is working within a budget, just tell me. I've worked at plenty of people who are like, I want this, I want this, I want this. How much will this cost? I'll tell them, and they say, oh, well, this was my budget.
Yep.
And I can figure stuff out, and and it's not like I will, make something less beautiful for you, especially if the spirit comes in and is like, no, I want this. I'm not going to disrespect the spirit like that just because you couldn't pay an extra $5. It's just not going to happen. I've
experienced that even with what I do. Like there's times I'm like, yeah, just knock off. We'll just do it. We'll just do it anyway.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do something for somebody and then they pay me later, if that makes sense. But yeah, no, it's I think it's a pretty good deal, honestly. I mean, like I said, you hooked me up, but we had a reason for that. But even the people who bought one, I mean, they were very happy with it. I haven't heard a single person say, oh, no, these are not garbage. You put a lot of polishing. Like, I saw how many steps you put into polishing this.
Yeah.
Like, you polished the bedevil out of this thing.
God, yes. And, like, the tables are a little bit different than the smaller items, the pyramids. Like, the table, I have to use an orbital sander, up until a certain point, and then the rest is all hand sanding. With the other stuff, I use a belt sander, and then everything is hand sanding. So there is a lot of labor that goes into it, and so in turn, a lot of energy ends up in these things.
Yeah.
And you'll feel them. You put your hands on them. I haven't heard anyone say like, "Oh, it's dead."
Yeah, that's true.
It's just pretty, but it's dead.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that means people are going like, "Oh, well, I'm going to have to like cleanse it or something too." And that's, the thing that's cool though is like, especially the fact that you try to use like legitimate materials in the making of them. So it's never just, like, oh, here's a picture of it. No, there's always some material that backs up that backs up the stuff that's in it. And Shaman Sorcerer says for $5, he says no more than 4K. Like, I guess he's saying as a statement.
Oh God.
I think she can accommodate you for sure for that. That's not for sure. It's not going to be that much. I don't even think. I'm not even sure mine would have cost like $1,000. I didn't want to know what you would have charged. Don't even tell me because I'll feel bad. But because I know you hooked me up pretty good.
Dice Controller 187 also asked, what do your spirit pyramids do?
Yep, good question. So what would someone buy those for? How would they use them if how do you see it being used?
Well, for me, like I'll personally use, some of my own in rituals. You got to think of it, and it was actually my friend Dre who explained it so perfectly because I was making it all complicated. So I'm just going to repeat and steal what she had said to me. Was they are the perfect explanation for them is they are like a battery pack to that spirit. Like they will enhance your connection to them. They already come with the energy to that spirit. So if you are having trouble with it, I mean, I'm sure if you were like completely new, you couldn't just grab it and voila, the spirit's going to fully manifest. You probably have to have some kind of understanding in magic to make these things work. Yeah. But they do have an energy to them. And if you look up power in pyramids, you'll just see it's a lot of it is angles. A lot of it, it's just like a battery. You can use them to direct energies. It's a great focal point as well. You could put them in the middle of a triangle, if that's what you work with. There's so many things.
I see them sort of like as an idol. So like they're like part idol, but sometimes they're not always an idol because it's not always a specific spirit you got going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I said, the uses for them, I've heard people use them for so many different things. I had someone tell me that they put them on, they put them on their chakras to do chakra energy work with that particular spirit. And that's something I never thought of doing. And I was like, oh, okay. So, I mean, you can really use these things for pretty much anything.
Yeah, pyramids are a great shape for, I love them. Unfortunately, I don't use enough of them. I tend to use more spheres because it's easier to find stuff in spheres than it is, at least for crystals and stuff. They don't, like if you look for like, red jasper pyramid, I mean, good luck. You probably won't find that. But you can find points and stuff. But, anyway. But yeah, no, and what I really also love is that I don't know how you do it or what you're limited to, what stones you can work with, but you always seem to be able to do some kind of crushed something, some kind of powdered something and make it work. So
yeah, even if somebody wanted a particular stone, I will get my hands on. If I don't have it like right there in my possession, I will get it for you. Okay. Somebody had just requested rubies for a pyramid I'm making. I don't have it, but I do now. Yep.
And ruby doesn't have to be expensive. There's pretty cheap ruby out there. It's just if you just want the ruby stone, it's not that bad to get. Some, it's not like it's got to be $1,000 wedding ring rubies,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he wanted it pretty and polished, so it was a little harder, but we found them and they're going in.
Yeah. So Shaman Sorcerer, definitely check it out. The Yepsen Flesh Priest put a link to the Etsy store. It's also always in the description of my videos, all of them. You can look it up. It's the only person I'm affiliated with, really. So if you're interested in that stuff, but we don't want to make this just an infomercial. So, but I wanted to have you on for a long time, and we never found the time or the excuse. Well, tonight was a good excuse. We have a call-in show. Yes. So you've been working with what's your favorite spirit to work with?
Oh goodness me. My go-to, I would say, the one who I've been working with the absolute longest is Lucifer. Excellent. I mean, he seems to. When I'm like doing like self-pity and beating myself up for something, like he usually shows up and he's like, girl, no.
I love that. Yeah.
And, I think I just shared a very personal story with you when I was telling you how when I was hurt and all that. And he was like, no, those are good emotions. Now we're going to change them and use them to channel into something. And
I would say
little
Belial,
did I know.
If I interrupt, I just get hit with this. I got to say it. Belial would say, "But did you die?" and Lucifer would say, "But did you try?"
Yes, that's perfect. Yeah, Lucifer was great, and he helped me create this. I mean, it was just a beautiful creation, and he basically was like, "It's going to speak to somebody." And I had a woman message me. Before it was even sanded, I had just posted it basically in my own mind, to say thank you to him for, making something so beautiful. And, and I learned a lot from that. And she contacted me and she told me a very personal story about, some things and how she was hurting and going through some stuff. And this pyramid just spoke to her. Mm-hmm. And she was just like, she said to me that Lucifer had just was like, look at this. And she looked at it and she had to have it. So I was like, all right, well, it's not for sale yet. And as long as I don't drop it, you can have it.
Yep, yep.
You know, that's why I don't like promising people anything before it's sanded, because I have dropped things before and then I have to either repair them or
I tell my
them.
wife that. I say, like, she's like, well, I don't know if I should charge, you know, like this much or that much. I'm like, imagine you had to buy the materials like 5 times. That's like, that's kind of like for certain projects, you have to start there, because it's like, you may break 3 along the way, so you got to make sure you're getting the right value for it. Because I know, like, especially for carving is a good, like Desmond, you can you know, Flesh Priest, my friend, you could tell us all your experience doing woodworking stuff. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's things that you make where it's like, I got to charge you 3 times materials just to get the thing started, because you might break it 2 or 3 times to get there.
I'm working on a jeweler's bench right now, and let's not even talk about that. But I'll just say, yeah, no, that's very accurate.
Yeah. I know that the little bit of piecework I've done in my days, you know, I always have that mentality of like, before you even calculate your labor and time in, it's 3 times materials cost just to get your foot in the door, because it's things that can break or that can be fucked up along the way. You know, it's not like when I do my drawing art or something where it's on Photoshop or whatever, where I can just, I delete the layer, I lost an hour, so what? You know, if you delete the layer in a resin production, that's expensive.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and I've had people, when I've sat down to make their own customs. I mean, I think I told you that other story. I'm not going to say what spirit it was, just in case. But it was one that the guy kind of had some issues with this spirit, and the spirit was totally taking it out on me.
Oh yeah.
That was.
I think I remember you telling me about that one, and you had problems with it, and it was just like a fight, and I forget how it worked out, but I remember that story a little bit.
Yeah, it was 3 pyramids later.
Man, I can only imagine. But you're dedicated. So like, you don't give up. You just keep doing them. I've never seen a bad review on your stuff, and I recommend it. And I got at least 2 more things I want from you, so we'll keep talking about that as we get closer to when I can do them. It's been a light couple of months. I don't know if it's because it's COVID or what, but. You know, I always call it Broketober and no money November. It's like it's like I'm not rich, guys. This is my day job now, and you know, so when I have a good month, I have a good month. But no, for real, it's people who work this kind of stuff and they dedicate like you do. I don't know if you have a day job too, but
no.
I mean, you pour a lot of time and energy into this, and you deserve all the attention that you get for it. And
thank you.
You know, it's a rare talent and skill. My wife's always like, I want to work with resin. How come she gets to work with resin? I want to work. You know, she's very proud of you. She loves what you do, and you know, you've been a good
she's awesome
to her too. So yeah. So
I'll back that up.
Just bleep it out. Yeah.
Quick super chat. Shaman Sorcerer says, 3-foot tetrahedron.
That sounds expensive. That sounds expensive.
Expensive.
That sounds like you'd need a truck to move it in position, and expensive.
I don't want to. I'll make it as long as he comes and picks it up.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not carrying that thing.
Yeah, like I'm thinking, like I want like a shining tetrahedron. It's like the size of like a fist. Like that's as big as I want it. 3 foot.
I think if you tried to bring that to the post office, they might actually just kill you.
Yeah.
It's like,
and if not,
back.
my picture's going up with a big like X over it.
Or it'll say missing, don't look for this person.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still have the missing posters up at the post office, but they used to. But yeah. Missing, do not look for.
Yeah.
So Shaman Force was asking earlier, do you have a YouTube channel? And I'll expand that out to just in general, where can people find you besides the Etsy page?
Etsy and Facebook is it. But I don't have, on Facebook, it's my name, Elena Lemmy.
And they can always find you and become the Maelstrom too. I bet you if they tagged you in a post there, they can get you there, because you're always active there too.
Yeah, a lot of my stuff I post there. A lot of my current workings.
Mm-hmm. Do you use
but
Discord,
no, I do not have a YouTube.
Do you or would you use Discord? Do you know what that is?
It's funny. I had just asked 2 people what it was.
Okay.
In the past few days, I'm like 1,000 years old when it comes to this technology.
Oh,
You're lucky I figured out how to get this going. I was messaging my friend before going, okay, what do I do with Skype?
If it wasn't for Flesh Priest and a 20-year-old English kid, I never would have heard of Discord. So don't feel bad.
I remember that dude.
Oh, fucking obnoxious Ed, dude. That guy. Oh my God. That kid, holy crap. But yeah, so if you get your hands on Discord, follow the links that Des has there, the Flesh Priest himself. Join our Discord, GG/6 feet. I mean 6 EET is it an ampersand times 2?
That's a TR capital E capital E.
Capital E capital E.
Sexy tree.
Sexy tree. I like that. Sexy tree. That's actually really good. Sexy tree. Sexy tree. Oh my God. Discord GG/Sexy tree. That's great. So,
but I'm honestly mad because here's a little fun fact for all of you. I have my own private Discord server just for friends that's called Tree Fucker. But this fucking channel gets the Sexy Tree link.
I love that we got
Tree
Sexy
Fucker
tree, dude. I'm very happy with that. Sexy tree. It is. So for those of you who are not part of the Sexy Tree server that we call the Sanctum of Shadows, use that link if you're interested, and you can interact with everybody, lunatics like us. Some people actually do a weekly live stream when they can, just in the chat channels there. They have a good time. It's like a hangout. I will occasionally do video game streaming, although usually I'm not very responsive on it because I'm not really doing it to talk. I just want to veg out and have other people, I sometimes like listen to people's commentary while I'm playing, but I don't necessarily get involved in your commentary. So I'm just kind of there. And we're actually thinking about doing a D&D game, maybe for Halloween. Some people were interested, but it won't be D&D. It'll be like some kind of survival horror, which it'll be something easy that anybody can pick up. Not sure. Flesh Priest, you know my habits with that. We've pretty much done it. Not every year, but we've tried. So some of them suck. Some of them are cool. So we'll see what happens.
Most of them I die.
Well, that's the point. It's why it's called Survive. This isn't a D&D game where this character goes on to live. This is a will you survive to play again next year with this character? Probably not. So it's always like a horror story of some kind, and it's always crazy fun. But I only have room for like 5. That game, since it's so lethal, I make it 5 to 10 players, whereas other games are just like 5 people. So yeah. Paranormal Somdi, Paranormal SOMD says, I'd love to have one of Astaroth to you, Elena. I'm pretty sure that's who they're talking to. So get in touch with Elena.
Definitely.
Yeah. Send her a message on Etsy and talk about it and see what can be done. Yeah.
Awesome.
So, all right, let's Elena, I thank you for coming on. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Just pretty much any time. If we got a live stream and you feel like calling in, just call in. We'll talk. But
now that I know how to do this,
it's fun, right? It's easy and it's painless, and it's like, so join us anytime, and we'll make room for the next person if we have anybody. If not, I'll just bullshit till we get somebody.
All right.
So.
Well, thank you. Have a
you.
great night, guys.
Thank you. And let my wife know which mirror you want first. I don't know if you
I already did. Yeah,
you did?
Okay.
I
sent her a message. Yeah.
All right, cool.
They're all gorgeous, but I picked my faves.
Okay. Yeah, she's going to talk to you about, like, I don't know. She's new at sending this stuff out, so she might need to pick your brain anyway. So.
Yeah. No,
anyway.
it's easy. All right. Well, have a good night, guys.
Thank you.
You too, Elena.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that was awesome.
And, yeah, I like her.
She's cool. Maybe you two could collab. Like, you could do the woodwork that goes underneath the resin thing. That'd be pretty badass.
Oh, I think I'm gonna take just a little bit of time after this project is done.
You do realize that when my empire is complete, I'm picturing it like I'm a king with a castle, and I need my soldiers, and I need my man-at-arms who trains everybody. Well, I need my woodworker and my resin sculpture maker, and I need my mirror maker and my candle makers, and I need you guys. So
yeah, just see to me, Lord's wood. Everybody make way. The Lord's wood needs tending.
The Lord's wood has a splinter in it.
Oh, let me get that out for you, my lord.
Oh goodness.
What is this? Maple?
Why do I feel like Mr. Burns and I've got my own Smithers here? This is getting weird fast. I like it though, but it's weird. Excellent. All right. So
it's excellent. As a quick plug too, I meant to do it earlier with the Discord and the D&D game. This Saturday, where I'm actually going to try to host a party game night
Is that
for
tonight? Is that
Cards
tomorrow
Against.
night? I mean, the day after tomorrow night?
No, Saturday night, yes.
Yeah. So okay. So you're going to be hosting a party game night.
Yeah, so Cards Against Humanity, Jackbox, maybe Among Us if enough people have it. So
I'm down. I'll
join
be
the
there.
Discord, fuck around with all of us.
Yeah. I don't think do we have anything planned for Saturday night, honey?
Well, now you do.
Crickets. I guess we do now. I don't know if she can hear me. She probably got her headphones. She'll probably take 30 seconds and tell me. I'll get a text. Because even though we're in the same room, she's probably wearing headphones. We'll just pretend she said yes, that we don't have anything planned. But yeah, no, I should be there, hopefully. What time is it going to be, and how do they get involved in that?
The same time as our streams go live, so 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Not 7. Yeah, no, 7 p.m. Pacific. You got me all fucked up with the time zones.
So if you look at the description of the video, so we're going to be doing game night starting at 10 p.m. Eastern. No, is that when we're doing it? Because that might be a little late for Camila. She might be a little bit late for
Okay,
that.
hold on. Let me see what I wrote.
Yeah, see what you wrote.
Yeah, Saturday. Oh no, I'm sorry. Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
8 p.m.
So,
Eastern. Okay, all right.
2 hours before we normally host these streams, but on Saturday.
Okay, good thing we clarified that, because there's going to be people showing up at 10 like, where is it? And it's me like, I don't know. All right, so.
It screwed me up because it's Saturday 10th, so I had 10 on the mind.
Yeah, so it'll be at 8 o'clock, so Camila may or may not be able to show up. We'll see. She just said she can't, but we'll see.
I'll have to suffer without her.
Yeah, because she might not be up to date on the timer. Maybe she's got other plans for herself. I don't know. Yeah, so imagine Cards Against Humanity with a bunch of black magicians. I mean, just imagine, and Among Us with all the.
What if it goes like? What if we just bring it so far down that it somehow like stack overflows and we are all just so wholesome?
That would be hilarious. Like right responses only. It's wrong responses
pure
only.
And innocent.
I will
That would
say
be
anything that happens in Cards Against Humanity stays in Cards Against Humanity. Like, because some people be like, oh, this person said something like, really objectionable in Cards Against. It's Cards Against Humanity, freak. Like, you weirdo. Like, say offensive stuff. That's why we're here.
Jennifer asked, the website I use, I think you can import your own decks, but I don't know how to. But I will say it has unlimited blank cards, so you essentially get your own deck.
Yeah, it's actually really easy to do. You just join a server. It's like you join a chat room, and then someone as the cards are. It rotates around who that is, and it's really easy to do. You don't need anything. You just show up with a click of a button. Like, you don't have to buy nothing. It's just, here's a link, join, and here's the password, and leave your inhibitions at home. So do not join if you're going to have a freaking salty asshole. Don't fucking join if you're going to be like that. So get ready for, and it's probably going to be not as cool as we're making it sound. It's probably just going to be a bunch of idiots being drunk talking about, like, Holocaust memes and shit that we shouldn't be talking about. So, because they do put those cards in there, don't they?
Oh yeah, they do it just to fuck with us.
They do that just to fuck with us. I like how, like, we will have a insta win concept that if you can work it into it, it tends to give you the bonus points. Like, if it's a topic for the night. What was it? Hot cheese the one time. If anything you could come up with had to do with hot cheese.
And Batman's nipples that one night.
Somehow Batman's nipples came up a lot. So so we'll be doing that the day after tomorrow, Saturday, 8 p.m. on our Discord server. If you're not already a member, now is the time. Join that, or be square, and we will get you involved. So yes, Necro Nicki, join us on the Discord channel and do offensive memes. Do offensive memes. I remember that was the other thing you schooled me on as an old Gen X fart. And I was like, oh yeah, I love memes. And you're like, they're not memes, dude. I'm like, what are they?
Oh my God, you're still like my mom.
Is it memes? Like, what's the right word? What is the right way to say it? No, it's memes. I'm like, oh, fuck. Oh, silence. There we go. You're back.
Oh, okay, that was weird. Oh, I know why. Okay. So I've got another 2 callers lined up if you want to get
Oh,
to it.
word? That'd be great. That'd be freaking great. Let me check my. Before you do that, let me just check. I got a whole bunch of PMs here from important people.
Such a popular guy, Mr. DH. One day I want to be just like you.
To be fair, it's pretty much all my wife and my staff that are telling me I need to pay them more. So, let me just check because I got mentioned by something, so I just want to make sure it's nothing important. All right, yeah, I guess give us the next. Who's the next person, or do we want to make it a surprise?
Give me 1 second responding to that, and just at that exact moment, I was also a popular guy. So the next guest actually had a question earlier, and I am on the wrong page. Here we go. The next guest goes by... I know I'm going to get schooled. I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Kiana?
Yeah, it's probably Kiana. It sounds like a Kiana. It looks
Okay,
like it.
and this is one of those difficult fucking live ID names to add.
Oh, okay.
Just a moment. So the ritual of summoning is gonna.
Let me get my summoning fingers warmed up.
Okay, here we go. Summoning.
Come to us, Kiana. And she'll correct this when they show up. I think it's a she. Come, Kiana. Come speak to us. Join us. Answer the phone. And if you don't, your question will go into limbo.
Oh.
Come to us. Oh, I think we have a response. I see.
Hello?
I feel a presence. Yes, hello.
We have summoned you forth, and here you are.
Okay, cool. Well, this is the first time I've been on a live, so
Oh,
if I sound nervous, but no.
You sound
You're
fine.
all-
You sound fine. Don't worry about it. It's perfectly great. Go ahead. What's your question?
Okay. So with the depression, I just want to say first that I'm not necessarily coming from a nihilistic kind of approach. First of all, because I've been through that before, so I pretty much have a good feel of what it feels like to be in some deep depression. But basically, I just want to discuss this type of depression where, because I'm doing some shadow work.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so basically what it's kind of like this sense of depression is coming up a little bit more as far as where it's being pinpointed at, because I've had a peak moment in 9th grade. So that was my peak moment of being deep depression. But past that is where it's kind of like coming up more. But it's like now, because I'm older, the way how I'm dealing with it, or the way how I'm feeling about it, is not as scary as I used to feel.
Mm-hmm.
I used to, like, even after my peak moment, I used to really feel really afraid to kind of like seep back into that, because I was in it so deep that I didn't know how to get out. And but I would try to like bury it or keep it at bay, and kind of make some light out of it. Yeah, so try to like keep it light in a certain way, or find some kind of dark humor, because that was like my medicine, if you could say it like that.
Sure. No,
but right now it's more like a just, it's kind of like just letting it come out, and just not trying to bury it anymore. And that's pretty much kind of like what I'm having a kind of a tug with, because it's like it's something that it's sad, but yet at the same time, it's like I feel like I have to let this out, because there's something that's there that's real, but it's, I don't know how to explain it, because it's kind of like I almost kind of feel like a comfort in it as well, which is kind of weird to me.
So you're saying what? No, so what's giving you the sense of the presence? In other words, there's like an entity attached to this depression, is what you're saying? Make sure I understand.
It's like there's something about me that's real. Like, it's kind of like when I was saying the dissolution to a reformation. It's like in this depression, there is something that I kept trying. Like every time it would pop up, it's like I know there was something there that I really need to get to,
Gotcha.
but
Okay. So like
it's
you
just,
feel like the depression is
kept
trying
burning.
to tell you something that you got to deal with. Yeah. Okay.
But at the same time, I feel weird being comforted by it.
Okay. No. That's fine. All right. So let me break a little bit of this down. Hopefully it'll help. What are you like 20-ish? You sound like you're in your 20s.
Mid-20s.
Mid 20s. Okay. So, all right.
Never ask a lady her age.
Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry. It's just I have to connect with the person. I have to. All right, Kiana. So this is the deal. Okay. So an important thing to remember, and it sounds like you're starting to integrate this already. So this is a message for everybody. Part of what we have to do as black magicians, as people who are seeking enlightenment, people who are seeking sort of a new awareness, we have to understand and accept that the main reason we suffer is because we think we're not supposed to. And when you're feeling any kind of depression or sadness, there can be a clinical cause, there can be a cause that has to do with events in your life from the past. There can be causes that have to do with your thoughts. And the depression is actually, depending upon its source, if it's a clinical depression, like it's, I don't know if you call it chemical or not, but if it's a clinical style depression, because I get that. I get like moods where I'm just like, nothing's good enough. I don't mean I get angry. I just sit there going like, I don't feel like playing video games today. I don't feel like working with spirits today. I'm just not in the mood. I want to go on vacation. Like I just want to get away. And nothing seems to inspire me. And I feel trapped. So it's a little different probably than what you're talking about. But depression can very often be our subconscious, in other words, the right hemisphere of our brain, telling us that something needs to change, or something is not right, or something needs to be done. Sometimes that's what it is. And when we listen to that, and we let it manifest and communicate with us, because we tend to think we're the left side of our brain. We tend to think we're our thoughts. We tend to think that we are the little words that are running through our heads, but we're not. That's something that's coming like, think of it like a pond, and there's a rainstorm overhead, and the rainstorm is really angry looking and scary, but the pond is still. Well, you're really the pond, but you see the rainstorms. And I'm kind of going really mystical here, but when you're telling me that my depression makes me feel good, you're releasing something that you're holding too tightly to. There's something there, in my opinion, and I'm not a psychiatrist or anything. I'm just D.H. Thorne that does what D.H. Thorne does. So don't replace what I'm telling you for anything clinical. But when we give in and accept and embrace these shadows of sorrow and sadness, especially when you're talking about something happened or you had a peak moment or whatever, you had a bad day, you had a moment where maybe you gave up control or whatever it was. By being ashamed of that, you make it worse. And we say, it's kind of like someone who's got a bad temper. There's two bad ways to approach a bad temper. One is to bottle it up. The other one is to be proud of it. Both of those suck. The right way is to learn ways to properly channel that aggression and energy so that it's beneficial to you and the people you care about. So depression, however, very often is a result of something that is not being dealt with. Most negative emotions are a product of the shadow. And the shadow is the side of us that is like, maybe you have an insecurity about something. And so you've learned over years to hide that thing that you're insecure about in subtle ways. As a fat guy, like I've learned to wear trench coats, not just because I like the way they look, but because in the wintertime I don't feel as fat because I'm wearing a trench coat. That's kind of a result of a shadow. It's a subconscious reaction to something I'm ashamed of. So guilt and depression and all of these things, when you're integrating them, you can feel really good about it. You can feel like, hello darkness, my old friend, right? It's like a melancholy, sweet feeling. Like, well, we're depressed again. At least I know what I'm dealing with. At least I know what I'm feeling. At least I know why or whatever. Mm-hmm. But my big advice to people that are suffering, and it goes against the grain, is a lot of the times we're suffering because we think we're not supposed to. We think that we're supposed to have happiness, that everything we do is supposed to lead to happiness all the time. The thing is, though, the human brain, the way it works from a mundane perspective, the human brain always focuses on the negative as a survival instinct. It always focuses on the things that are scary and negative, because when you were, a caveman, or when you were maybe, whatever we were before, an ape or a chimpanzee or whatever the heck you want to call it, before man was man, we had to take every threat seriously. That included the weird shadow behind the bush. That included the bad thought you had about somebody. You have to take it seriously, because it could mean life or death. So on an everyday level, as a cave person, you walk out of your cave and you see a dark shadow behind a bush. You don't wait around to find out if it's a bear or not. You go the other way quickly, because you figure, well, it might be a bear, so I've got to deal with it like it was a bear. As we become more and more civilized, our bodies haven't changed, our impulses haven't changed. All of these things stay the way they are, the way they were biologically organized. So in our everyday life, we have stimuluses that cause feelings and responses that may not be appropriate to what you're experiencing. And because they're not justified so much, because you don't have those things, we kind of get into this mode where we think that everything sucks and everything's horrible, or this is bad, or that's bad, or that feels good because it feels, we get these weird kind of misunderstanding about what we're experiencing. I'll give you another example, a modern example. I don't know if you're one of these people, but it's the kind of person I am. When I look up a video game review or a movie review, I look for the negative reviews that are rational, like they're just not obviously trolling, like it's a real negative review. I read the negative reviews. And I do the same thing for people commenting on my videos. I look at those more. I look at those first. And it's because I'm looking for negativity. It's just a habit I have. And a lot of people would say they do the same thing. They look at the negative reviews more strongly, like the negative reviews matter more. Because I think we feel like people are more honest when they're negative. For whatever reason, we feel that. And so when we're going through our life and we have a moment of depression, in a way, we can mistake that for the same kind of honesty. We can mistake that for being more real than the positivity. And so we start to dwell on the negative more. So if you go through your day and you have, 16 hours of the day that you're awake, well, 15 and a half hours might have been positive, or at least neutral. But then you have a bad moment, or a bad half hour, or you feel a little sad, or something bad happened. And now the whole day is shot. Now I don't know if anything I'm saying is relevant to what you're trying to get at, but understanding the process of suffering and depression can really help to deal with it, because when you stop trying to fight it, which it almost sounds like you're trying to do when you say like you feel a kind of goodness about it, I guess is what you're saying. That could be involved. It could be what's going on from that perspective. And I will tell you that shadow people and the shadow current itself has a very strong tendency to make us wallow in our own darkness, to make us wallow in the things that upset us. There's definite shadow archetypes that make us dwell on the things that make us unhappy. And they can start to feel good. It's kind of like, it's almost like masochism or something. And it's almost like a way for your psychology to twist the bad into a good. Because you want to experience at least a sense of progress towards happiness. But realistically, the higher self is experiencing bliss all the time, and it's the ego that's not. The ego thinks, I need to be happy all the time. That's not what bliss is. Bliss and happiness are not the same thing. They are involved with each other, but they're not the same. So I don't know if I'm pinning down what you're trying to tell me or not. And I don't know if any of this is helping you. But maybe the point is not to help you. I guess is what I'm saying. And sometimes the point is to allow yourself to feel that negative and to embrace the negative fully and not run away from it and not try to fight it and not try to take it away, but to treat it like an important part of who you are. And it's kind of like, I had this one person that came to me and they had an addiction problem, as they put it. I said, why are you treating it like a problem? Well, I don't want to be addicted. Okay, fair enough. That's fair. But it's not really a problem. You put yourself in that position. You kind of want, because you are the universe, you are the source. You're putting yourself in this place of feeling helpless against an addiction. But are you really, why? This person would tell me, oh, I kicked it 3 or 4 times and I keep coming back. Well, if you kicked it, why'd you go back? So you don't really have a problem with the addiction. That's not the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really want to be addicted, is what you're really telling me. And you don't like that, but it is the truth. So why do we latch on to negative feelings? Why do we do that? Why do we attach to those negative things? And why do we dwell on them? Why do we make them so big? If you know you're the universe, if you've discovered that, if you feel it, I'm not saying you won't have a bad day. You're going to still have bad days. You're going to have days. I have days where I, for the stupidest reasons, will lose my temper and I'll yell at people. And I will get mad at the wrong things. And I'll get self-conscious. But when that happens, it's because I've forgotten what I really am. It's because I've allowed the illusion to take over again. And I start to feel like, well, today's just not as good as yesterday because of X, Y, Z. But it is. I'm still here living and breathing. I'm still eating. I'm still having this and that. Most of the things that matter are still present in my life. And even if they weren't, well, that's okay too. Because, again, the source of suffering for, I think, everybody is the idea that we're not supposed to. And you are supposed to. Because if you don't experience the other side. And so, I don't know. Let me know. Give me some feedback. Am I saying anything right here?
Oh, no. No, especially the last part when you're saying not allowing myself to feel or running away from things, which that's pretty much for a very long time, ever since I can remember, what I've been doing. Because even with the shadow work that I'm doing, I mean, there's been mainly 2 main emotions that I almost kind of forgot was there, and they're very extreme emotions for me. So it's kind of like allow myself to feel that put me at such a high extreme. And now the third one, which is depression, it's like that was just one of the main things that I really tried to not feel. And so now, since I'm just in this process of feeling and allow myself to feel, it's almost kind of weird to allow it or give it permission, basically.
Yeah. To happen.
To let me feel it. Yeah. And but
well, let me ask you a question. Let me interrupt for a second. Let me ask you a question. Why are you doing the shadow work? Let's ask that question. This may be kind of a silly question, but why are you doing shadow work? I don't mean the specific reason. Why do you think you're doing shadow work?
Basically, there's chains. There's some mental chains I've always been feeling for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. What are you trying to? So through shadow work, what are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to? There's a point to my question, which I don't know if I'll be able to. I'm trying to get you there by having you see it. But go ahead. Why are you trying to do shadow work?
Basically, to bring in my real self.
Okay, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. So you're trying to bring in your real self. You're trying to bring it. Well, you're already your real self. You're already that. That's part of the illusion. Is that you're not already. Part of the illusion that clouds us from having enlightenment is the idea that we're not there yet. So people have this bubbly idea of what enlightenment is like. People have this idea that enlightenment means there's a big bunch of fireworks goes, because I describe it that way, as that story that I talked about. But that's not enlightenment. That wasn't enlightenment at all. That was a revelation, but that wasn't enlightenment. Enlightenment, you don't become enlightened. Anybody who says that they're enlightened is lying to you. Because enlightenment is not a thing you get. It's not a thing you achieve. It's not a thing. And integration, when you say I'm trying to be my true self, you already are being your true self. What you're really trying to do is to recognize that.
Yeah.
So that's a hard journey, because there's a part of you that's still, and I don't mean this like I'm not, because I wouldn't be here if I was fully integrated myself. I would be the universe again or whatever. And the universe doesn't want to do that. The universe, the omniverse, the everyverse doesn't want to be the everyverse all the time. It wants to be Kiana. It wants to be DH Thorne. It wants to be Flesh Priest. It wants to stub its toe. It wants to be depressed. And it wants to live in a world with axe murderers and racists and crazy shit that happens all the time. It wants that world. Otherwise it wouldn't be there. And that knowledge, when it fully integrates, when you fully accept that, you tend to go, okay, I think I can deal with this. I think I'll be okay, because you know that you are a saint and a sinner. You're happy and you're sad, because you're all of those things. And so you kind of can let go a little bit. And it takes a little practice, for sure. But then I would ask you, if that was your ambition, why is that your ambition? And the question of why, this question of what is your real desire, what is your real motivation, is the key to understanding why you're not having it. The reason that you're unhappy is because you're trying to be happy. The reason that you're not enlightened is because you're trying to be enlightened. The reason that you're depressed is because you're trying maybe not to be. And then someone's going to say, well, then I'm going to try to not be happy. I'm going to try to be depressed. I'm going to play the other side. That doesn't help, because you're still doing it for the wrong reason. If your goal is to improve, you never will, because you're actually clouding yourself more. It's like this. If you have a mirror in front of you, is there anything you can put on the mirror that will make it reflect better?
No.
No. So adding new things is not going to make you feel better. Fixing yourself is like adding something. When you're trying to achieve something, you're trying to add something. So what you need to do is you need to clean the mirror off. And the best way to do that is, like, there's a saying that Alan Watts has. And if you don't listen to Alan Watts, I really recommend it. I think you love him. He's one of my favorite, like, look up Alan Watts Chill Step and just, like, listen to that while you're working
I love
or
him
something.
too.
What's that?
I love him too,
Okay.
especially on the chill step.
Okay, good. So he's got this one
You have
saying.
good taste.
He's got this one saying that's muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone, or sometimes best cleared by leaving it alone. Anyway, I'm sure a scientist or an engineer could come along with, well, if you put the proper filter, fuck you. That's not what we're talking about. The point is that a lot of the times our efforts to make something better make them so much worse, because it's the ambition to improve that breaks it. It's so another way to think of it is, if you are seeking to be God, you're admitting you're not God. And so long as you're seeking to be God, you can never be God. The moment you accept you're already God, and that instead of trying to become a God, you're trying to become aware of being God, it makes it an easier process. And then the next thing to remember is, well, I'm still doing that when I'm pretending to be aware of being God. When I tell you the simple statement, you're already God, already, and you're fully aware of it. You're already God. You are the God, whatever that is to you, whether it's the source or some other, spiritual being you think you are. You're already that, and you're having a human experience. So you're God. Like, you've heard that song, What If God Was One of Us? Maybe you've heard it, maybe you haven't. It's an old song from when I was a kid.
No, I haven't heard of it.
You haven't heard it? It's an old song. I forget who made it. It's like an old 90s song, I think it was. I'm an old fart. I'm an Xer. It's like, what if God was one of us, just a slob like one of us? Well, anyway, I don't know if the point of that song was what I'm saying, but it's how I always interpret it. Is it's like, what if you were God and just didn't know it? Well, that is what's going on. You're God and you've forgotten. And you've forgotten because you think being God has to be like in the movies where you snap your fingers and universes are created. But that is what's happening. You're just not aware of it. The reason you're not aware of it is because you expect it to be something that it can't be. In other words, what does a skeptic always do when you talk to them about magic or anything like this? They say, "Oh, there's no such thing as ghosts because that when the cabinet rustled, when you said spirit, are you here? That was actually a rat in the wall." Well, that doesn't mean that there was no spirit involved. It just means that a rat caused the manifestation of the rattling. It doesn't mean that there was no spirit there. In other words, the skeptical mind will tell you that the only way for this to be real is for it to be impossible. And so even those of us who have an open mind to this stuff, we still have a tendency to think, if I'm God, I should be able to do whatever I want. Well, you already are. But you're not focused and aware on it, is really what the difference is. So what you're really trying to do is to be aware of it. And that's a difficult thing. That's not something you wave a magic wand on. It doesn't work that way. Because you are not doing it because you don't want to yet. This has to do with depression because, again, depression and anger and sadness and, why are you trying not to be? And why are you trying to integrate it? Why are you trying to do that? Like you said, I'm trying to improve. Well, if you're trying to improve, you never will. And it's a lot worse than Yoda, when Yoda says do or do not, there is no try. It's a lot worse than that. Because that just sounds like a cute meme, but it's actually way more true than people realize. That sounds like a meme that says, well, if you're just trying, you're not really trying. You have to really try. No. Quite literally, you're either going to do it or you're not. And you're already doing it. So I don't know if anything I'm saying, again, is having much help. I might be just maybe confusing.
No, it really is.
Okay.
It really is.
Okay. So do you have any other questions or statements you want to make? Because, I welcome you to join us every week. We're here, and this is like a fun thing for us. And, you can always, hit me up in private, potentially. I don't respond as much as I used to because I'm just drowning in people lately. But I mean, you're welcome to try, and you can find me on Facebook if you have any deeper questions. I don't want to just sell you on stuff. I'd rather you sound like you need to talk to people occasionally. So I do exist, and you can catch me here every Thursday if nothing else. So.
Okay, cool.
All right.
No, I don't have any more questions right now.
Okay. All right. So yeah, let us know. Hopefully, just think about what I said. Meditate on it. It sounds like you're doing some sort of spiritual practice. Meditate on the things I'm saying. You're still, and I don't mean this in a way that's dismissive. You're still very young. Your experiences haven't piled up enough yet, so that you have enough excuses to admit what you are. Some people get them when they're young, but for the most part, there's a reason why it's always 40-somethings that get here, and just snap and just kind of go, oh, I get it. Something about having enough Saturn returns and Jupiter returns and all this other stuff wakes you up. So just relax, let it be what it is, and keep going, keep doing what you're doing, keep exploring your shadow. The biggest thing for shadow work is to be willing to see it and admit it and not be ashamed of it. In fact, when you find a shadow, embrace it and learn how to make it okay. No matter how disgusting or gross it is, no matter how bad it is, if you fight the shadow, it will win. If you integrate it and recognize that it is already you, it's already making you do things. Your job is to become conscious of it and to steer it so that it's making your life what you want it to be. That kind of goes against what I'm saying, but it's a step in the right direction. Because at some point you're going to let go and you're going to say, I'm not going to worry about it anymore. And depression and anxiety is going to melt away because you're just not going to care. You're going to be aloof and people are going to say, oh, you sound very callous. You're not, though, because you'll still do all the things you did before. You'll still give to charity and you'll still be sweet to people. None of that changes. It just changes your attachment and how attached you are. So.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. And that really helped and took off some pressure off of me.
Yeah, that's the key of shadow work. Get the pressure off. All right, Kiana, thank you for calling. And again, we'll be here next week.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
thank you so much for being on.
All right.
All right. Have a good night.
All right, bye now. All right, yeah. I mean, anything to add to that? Yep. So, I should include you in those a little bit more. I don't know if you have much to add to that. I know you're just kind of like,
No, I know. I can pop in
Yeah, please
whenever,
do.
but you got a good flow there.
Okay.
I didn't
all right.
want to interrupt anything.
Okay,
But
cool,
you know what? I will interrupt really quick to just I found this relevant to the conversation, so I'm just gonna pop it on the stream real quick. I posted this in the Discord server a little while ago. Not all sunshine.
No,
it could
it's
be
not.
really fucking terrifying.
Yeah, no, it's terrifying for your ego, because your ego realizes it's not the center of attention, but it is. That's the fucked up thing. It is. Otherwise, it wouldn't feel that way. It's really kind of a paradox. Your ego is not the center of all, but it is the center of attention at the moment, because that's who you think you are. And then when you realize that that's not who you think you are, that tower shakes like a motherfucker. Yeah. So let's see. What do we got in comments, or do we have somebody else lined up for us tonight?
I have 2 people lined up. I'm gonna bring this person on, but unfortunately, I got to scoot real quick to use the bathroom.
Oh, that's never a good sign. That's never good. This, you know what else? When we play Sea of Thieves, what happens when you have to go?
Every time. It's always me. Always me.
We get a Kraken shows up, and then all of a sudden, Flesh Priest has DC'd. What the hell? Where'd he go? What's going on? What do you mean? I don't know, man. My computer restarted or something. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I've got a bladder like a kitten.
No, you don't. You're fine. I'm teasing you.
Oh, bullshit, I do.
Well, you do, but I still love you for it. Yeah, bring it on.
Okay.
Anybody I know, or is this a newcomer? Who are we summoning here?
Oh, no, I think everybody's pretty familiar. Everybody knows
Am I gonna hear
the
the
great
theme
and
song?
powerful Jennifer Vatsa.
Oh, the great and powerful Jennifer Vatsa, yes. My darling Jennifer Vatsa, yes, indeed. Let us
Okay,
bring her
summoning. Summoning. Welcome to the stream, the great and powerful Jennifer Vatsa.
Don't look behind the curtain. We might... Are you there, Jennifer Vatsa?
I'm here.
Give us a sign. Oh, hi.
I'm clothed.
Okay, cool. Hello. Let me make sure... Yeah, okay, cool. So he's off. So what's up, Jen? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I actually have a question.
Uh-oh.
Well, actually, I have a question that I want to talk about stuff before. So, Yepson, what's that thing you always say about being a naughty, naughty flesh priest, and he just ran away?
He did. Now you got to wait. So we're going to have to talk about stuff.
So, anyways,
do you want me to make you
we'll
visible?
get back to his naughty flesh priestess.
Do you want me to make you visible? Or do you want to
Since he hasn't made the statement yet this stream, and we live for that.
Do you want me to make you visible or stay invisible to the people at home?
You can make me visible. That's fine.
All right, let's make you visible. If I remember how to do this. There she is. What's up, visible person?
What's up? God, it's been quite a week, but anyways, I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit more, some thoughts on like the shadow work aspect, and yeah, my hair looks lovely.
Don't look. You won't.
Hold on.
Let it out. Let it flow.
Shake my hair out. Looks slightly less horrendous, but anyways.
I think you look fine. Say
so,
hi to everybody.
like,
say hi to Jen, everybody. Hi, Jen.
Hello. I'm just in my kitchen and letting my hair down for the night.
I do like the cacophony of colors. It's actually the spectrum I like to see. I do like that spectrum. It's
yeah, I'm just doing something different every time when I get my hair done.
I do like it. I do like the blue to purple, like the blue to lavender color. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess your big thing is for Flesh Priest, but what else we got till Flesh shows back up? Sounds like he's coming back.
So just talking a little bit more about shadow work and some of the stuff with working with the different demons and things like that. I'm actually going to put the YouTube screen down because like watching our mouths talk at different paces is a little weird.
You can disconnect the chat, but it's still going to be delayed, so
that's fine.
Okay.
I'll go back and look at it then. But yeah, so like one of the things I found when I first started working with the different like demonic gatekeepers and things like that, especially Belial. Like I know, like I was like, oh shit, Belial is gonna like put me through the ringer, and you know, Belial does sometimes, but like because I had been on this my own kind of personal path working journey for the past, I don't know, almost 10 years at this point, through doing therapy and, because, I have a history of depression and anxiety and all sorts of fun things of that nature. Was it CPTSD, and have resistant to very many medications, and I've had other treatments and things like that. But I don't know. I have to say, Belial is one of the best therapists I've ever had.
Would you say he makes you face the crap that's causing it? Is that why? What would you say is the difference?
To some extent, like one of the things he said when I almost like the very first time I started working, he's like, most people who come to me haven't put in the self-work that you have to this point. So having come in it, because I'm older, and have that background of having done all this self-work and shadow work and things of that nature, that I started kind of like at a different level. Sure.
I mean, like I was telling Kiana, like, you're still young, I mean, some of this is, like, I remember when I was in my 20s, it was actually worse than my teens in some ways. Forget angsty. When you're a teenager, you're just like kind of angsty and you got an excuse. When you're in your 20s, people expect you to fly right, and you're like, I still can't. And it can really be hard in your 20s, especially. Yeah.
It does. I mean, it gets easier with age to some extent. Like I'm amazed. I was thinking today as I was driving somewhere, I'm like, wow, forgetting the fact that, the whole pandemic stuff, it's like all these horrible things that have happened to like friends of mine. It's like I had a friend's husband pass away, a friend's brother committed suicide, another friend's father committed suicide, and
the hard part, and I do it too. The hard part is trying to not see those things as horrible things, but I mean, what are you going to do, right?
It's sort of like you look at the whole year and thinking, Jesus Christ, there's been like some fucking terrible shit for every single person I know.
I can relate. I mean, in my family, we had a whole bunch of bad travesties happen this year. Not mine personally. Like, I'm fine. My wife's fine. But, like, extended family and other parts of the family, just things that were, like, man, if I thought I was being cursed, that would be why. But I know it's not. Right. It's something complete. It's real bad. And it's like, it's tough because, like I said, like, I feel like people would call me selfish or self-centered because most of the time that doesn't rub off on me. Most of the time I'm just like, well, let's help them out, do what we can, but it's not me who's like sad right now. So it sounds callous, but it's not that I'm lacking in empathy. I think there's a lack of detachment. I'm not really attached to their suffering, I guess. But that I didn't learn from anywhere, maybe except for just going through shit when I was younger, where it's like, like you said, like I went through everything. Like, I mean, there was abuse, there was all this. I'm not saying it was worse or as bad as other people's. I'm sure there's people who, suffered under the table, suffered me under the table, so to speak. But we all kind of eventually get to a point with our shadow work where we start to accept, like, I'm doing this to myself. I'm causing my own unhappiness. I'm causing my own, and I don't mean that momentary, because like I said, your body responds. Like if you get punched in the gut, it hurts. And, you get bruised and it's going to hurt for a little while. But how you respond to that, how you reflect that is what causes the suffering. It causes the misery. And anyway, but yeah, no, you're right. And as you get older, you kind of have more tools. You kind of have more abilities to maybe integrate and interact with those things. And, hopefully not. I was actually going to do a video about, not being detached. So the universe teaches us non-attachment, but that's not the same thing as detachment. Detachment's unhealthy. Attachment's unhealthy. Non-attachment.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to that point where there was a medication I was on that just made me emotionally flat. Like I would just be sitting there like, I feel like I should be having an emotional response, and you're like, it was almost like being emotionally constipated,
See, that I feel a little bit more often. I can get that way. That's why I say a lot of the times, like, I don't do ceremonial magic as often as I should, according to some people. To me, I use ceremonial magic like an energy laxative. Like when I'm, I'll just use a candle, I'll just use some incense, I'll do some mental energy work, stuff like that. But then every once in a while, I just feel flat and dead, and I got to go stand in front of my altar and do just by the book ritual as it's written. Rituals as written, right? Rituals at RIW, ritual as written. And just do it and just let that energy out. And I feel better. And it does help.
Yeah.
So it does still happen.
I agree. I think it's one of the things with doing the shadow work and coming from a place of having struggled with, depression and things like that, and looking at 2020's been upgraded from a shit show to an explosive diarrhea bonanza. So
that's because the New World Order is uncloaking and revealing itself to destroy us all. That's what's happening.
No, it's because Beelzebub manifested on Mike Pence's head last night.
That was hilarious. I love that. I like the meme. I like the meme where it asks who wore it better, and it was a picture of every either president or candidate, or everybody had a fly on them somewhere sooner or later, and everyone tries to read it. It's like, no, Obama, Hillary, I forget who else. Everybody had one at some point.
Is that what the fucking fly thing you were talking about was?
Yeah, you didn't watch. That's why I asked you about the fly, because I was like, I bet you he didn't watch it.
The fly won
Dude,
last night.
I don't watch the fucking debates. I like being happy.
See, you're doing it now. You're causing suffering by not facing the pain, my friend.
Yeah,
the broken are truly involved.
But as soon as I saw the fly thing, I was like, "Hail Beelzebub!" But the important thing that has come through all my path working, with the demonic gatekeepers and the dark goddesses, is a lot of it is about balancing the light and dark within ourselves, within that shadow work. And
yeah, because if you face only one or the other, you put the other one completely at your back, and that destroys you. You gotta. Yeah.
But, there's also, you can do a lot of harm with toxic positivity as well. Because it's like when you're depressed, someone's like, oh, you're only depressed because you want to be. Or, smile. It isn't all that bad.
Oh, yeah, no, that's the dark side of what I said. No, you're right. Because there's some people, when I say that, they interpret it. I mean, that's not, I know it's not what I'm saying, but it's like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I've dealt with that and that toxic positivity from people. And it's like, do you think I want to be depressed? Yeah. You think I want to not be able to get out of bed and function? Yeah.
Well, I mean, on one level, on a universal level, yes, but not in the sense that they mean it. No, not in that sense. No.
Because it's just, I can't snap my fingers and make it go away.
There is such a thing as clinical. There is such a thing as clinical depression. It's not because you had a bad day. You're having a bad day because of the clinical depression, right? That's it's the opposite.
And I was really struggling back in like May and June, with all the quarantine and lockdown and living alone and all that stuff. But then it really, kicked me to the ground. But it also, anytime I get kicked to the ground, I'm like, all right, I come back and I'm like I'm stronger and more resilient. And that's something over the summer through a lot of my path working with, the variety of the demonic gatekeepers and stuff that I've learned.
I love that. The variety. Yeah, I know. It is like that. Yeah, I love that because I do that and then I swear off of it for a while. But I know what you mean because like as I'm working through like the Goetia and other things, and I don't plan on ever doing them all. It's not my intention. In fact, I have a plan to not do them all. Whereas originally I was going to do one every week or two until I got them all at least once for a little while. And then eventually I just kept hearing the voice, stop playing Pokemon with spirits. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of, if there's one you need to call on for a particular thing, like, I don't feel like I need to path work entirely with Marbas to work with Marbas on healing.
Right. And not only that, like, that's why, if you're going to go with the Goetic pantheon, and it's just a pantheon, you can mix and match spirits from all, for me anyway, I work with anything, unless they are so opposed to each other for some reason that they can't. I'll work with whatever. But of the Goetic pantheon, I like doing the 9 kings, treating them as the hierarchical leaders of the rest. And when I want something that they don't do, I try to interpret which Goetic spirit might be not beholden to them, but allied with them, under them. Yeah. And then I'll, if it's one that I don't want to work with directly, I'll just go to that spirit and and do it that way. But yeah, anyway, go on with what you're saying. And you also had a question for Flesh Priest when you get a second too. Let's not forget, 'cause he's back.
Oh, before I forget the question for Flesh. So what's that thing you say about being a naughty Flesh Priest or something? I forget the exact wording. I need to hear you say it.
I have no idea what you're talking about, I'm sure, but I know Dovahkiin once, twisted my arm and made me say something along the lines of, I am the fleshiest of flesh priests, and I have been a bad, bad boy who needs to be
That's
punished.
Sorry, I just needed to hear that today.
I'm a bad, bad boy who needs to be. I don't know what. I don't know. Let's find out next episode. Cutting off the stream. Bye, everybody.
Yeah. So I mean, it's and to some of what I think Elena was talking about earlier, like working with Lucifer. Like for me, Lucifer is a very protective, whatever spirit you want to call. Like Lucifer is all about the self-care and someone I go to for comfort.
Mm-hmm. I will say so Lucifer for me, I could see why it would be a little bit like that. Lucifer for me has always been syrupy sweet in his conversations with me. It's never, oh, you shithead. It's always my beloved, my chosen, what is troubling you, my darling child? Stuff like that. Like way too syrupy. And it has a comforting element to it. I remember I was feeling kind of concerned about the afterlife before I started to understand it better. And I was asking him, like, what is this going to be like? What is it like? And he came to me as like a little girl. And the little girl it reminded me of the little girl from My Name is Ruin from Gary Newman's, one of his latest songs. Like his daughter. Came to me a lot like that in a bolt of sunlight, and not a male at all, total young female child form. Mm-hmm. And came to me and said, most people when they die go back to stay asleep. You're going to wake up. I'm like, what the fuck? And you're going to be as we are, because that's what you already are. I'm like, what the fuck? And I had this feeling of such comfort and warmth and love that it was like I started crying. I felt better, like immediately.
Yeah.
And I will agree with that. I will also say Lucifer doesn't, for me, maybe it's different for you. He's not a doer. He's like Crom from Conan. Like, you got to be strong. You've got to do it. You've got to do this.
Help you with things at times, like if it's something that really, require, if you're doing any kind of like major healing and things like that. Usually, when I've done things for Lucifer, I'm like, well, what can I, do? It's like, I would like an angel food cake with a rose petal glaze. Or you should buy yourself 24 black roses. Or the strangest thing Lucifer had me do was build an altar to myself.
No, that is so Lucifer. That's not strange at all.
I'd say that's not weird at all. That's on point.
Yeah, it was when I was putting my dark goddesses temple together, and he's like, you're missing something.
You're missing one. Yeah, you're missing the one. Because Lucifer has been identified by many of us as like an egregoric self that is so close to source. Like it is our true highest self. That is what it is. It is that loving light of you, of total brutal honesty about what you are, and it is loving at the same time. It is you. That's one version that has been identified that I personally do like. I do like to believe, especially as a non-dualist, that we are all that being.
You're a non-dualist?
I haven't said.
I don't think I've ever heard you talk about
let me. Flesh Priest.
Never.
Did I forget
Never,
to say
ever.
that? Oh fuck! All right, let me explain non-dualism.
We've turned it into a drinking game.
Yeah, let me explain that.
Seriously,
now,
everybody
if you
take a
see this
shot.
candle, I'm kidding.
You know what? I realized I fucked myself because before the stream even started, people were saying like, "Oh, I wonder who's gonna get him started on non-dualism tonight." I'm like, I got $5 that DH is gonna start DH on non-dualism, and then I fucking brought it up first.
Is this what it's like to be typecast? Oh man.
But I guess one of the things, like, how do you see Lucifer and Satan? Like, because I've been doing like the path working on my own with Satan.
Yep.
And to me, they're two very different entities.
No, they are. So Satan, as I've identified, it is. So here I go in non-dualism land again. I apologize, everybody. I'm going to have to do this. I have to do it. I really apologize. All right. So when we're talking about any spiritual force, we're talking about a mask for the source, for the conscious source. The source shattered, like having, imagine how people have multiple personality disorder, but they're all the same person. So the source has exploded into an infinite number of iterations of different people and things. And some of them are god forms, and some of them are human, and some of them are dogs and cats, and little bugs that eat stuff. So Lucifer is an egregore that humanity has created that creates an interface between us and a couple of archetypal conscious ideas. So people have fit Jungian archetypes, right? So Lucifer is a Jungian archetype, but it's a mask for that archetype. And that archetype is one of the cosmic rebel, self-love, the higher self, the true light of create. When in the Judeo-Christian Bible it says, "Let there be light," what do you think that light was? It was probably Lucifer. Bang! Lucifer is that first light. Lucifer is the light of awareness and true self-knowledge and true vision. So that is what that was. So then what's Satan? So Satan is an adversarial archetype. And it is a mask that humanity has created that is always placed over the adversarial whatever in their culture. And so therefore, Lucifer can be called a Satan. Beelzebub, Belial, all these different spirits can be a Satan. And this is why Satan's always been more of a title, because people, I think, are more subconsciously aware that Satan is a title rather than a name of a spirit specifically. So
I've been talking a little bit with, I think with Elric and some other things of sort of tying in Shamyaza into that might be the
so could Moloch, so could Baal. So they all fit that, because the we'll say the Middle Eastern, Abrahamic, whatever cultures it is that is the origin of all of us, probably Atlantis going back more like to Western Africa.
Yeah,
but
I feel like Satan, if there's a being Satan, when I've worked with what I call Satan, it's something that's old, primordial.
It is. It's a primordial archetype of adversarial self-awareness, really, because what always happens, like E.A. Koenig said it well, what always happens when Satan gets involved? When Satan gets involved, it's always like a crucible of self-awareness. You're always tempted with something you're afraid of about yourself or something. Jesus was tempted. This person said, it's always tempted. How could God be tempted, right? So the adversarial spirit is always something that sort of is a mirror. So Lucifer and Satan are obviously very related for that reason. They do have a lot in common. So Satan is an egregore, and you can create a Satan egregore that involves pieces of all of these other egregores. I mean, egregores are marvelous things. It's an excuse to be anything you want it to be. That's why I like calling them that, but then there is a collective conscious verse. So one way to think of it is we can individually create an egregore about anything. You can create an egregore about your socks, right? This is lefty and righty. They have a spiritual core, and they're real and they're magical. But you create an egregore and it can do things. You can create a personal egregore of Satan that can be whatever you want it to be. But there's also a collective conscious / unconscious.
Just the egregore, all black panties are magical.
Well, especially when they're on the floor. But I feel like JD Temple just entered me for a moment. JD Temple, are you here? No.
Oh, there's going to be fanfic about that. JD Temple entering DH Thorne.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I'll make no mistake of it. I might be a cute girl, but I'm an utter dirtbag, so...
Well, why be ashamed? I say be a dirtbag. I think being a dirtbag is where it's at. It's my favorite thing to be. I grew up as a dirtbag. I still am one, but I put this veneer of DH Thorne over it.
You're in like company.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, but when I work with, if you want to call it an egregore of Satan, it's something that it's almost like when I visualize as a being, it's almost like he's so old, he's almost like a monument or a statue. Like he can move around and do shit if he feels like it, but he's more stationary and whatnot. But one of the things I've been exploring through my astral work and in the path working, and I'm just sort of like I'm in the beginning stages of trying to discover what all of this is lining up with. Like, he's brought into the consciousness for me of the infernal feminine, because we talk about the divine feminine a lot, but that gets a little bit more on that love and light, the goddess mother archetype and things like that.
Well, that infernal. So I mean, again, femininity. There's so many layers to that. I mean, femininity is usually the receptive, the womb, the this and that. It's you can't have one without the other. They're so important to each other. They're important. They're important because of their relationship to the other. That's why they're important. That's what makes them important. Masculinity is only important because of the femininity, and the femininity is only important so they need each other intrinsically. And so you're right to say what about the infernal feminine? And I think one of the problems one of the reasons,
especially with the dark goddesses, looking at history will look at Lilith as the bad, not the divine feminine and stuff like that. And I'm like, fuck that, I have the same one on my dark goddesses.
I know it's supposed to be Eve or whatever, but I'm sorry. To me, that's like it's got the sass of Lilith all over it. I'm sorry. I love it.
Get out of there. Cat.
No, I mean I agree. I think I just want to say this one thing, and then you go on. Is that again, a lot of our problems, I think, as Western occultists, is our tendency to rely on Christianized lore and not the original heathen pagan sources of a lot of their superstitious fears, right? So when we look at like Sumerian culture, there was male and female gods. And yeah, there was a little patriarchy going on, but you had male and female gods and goddesses, and they were all powerful, and they were all capable of what we would call good and evil. So you had just like the Greek and Roman gods and goddesses, they were all capable of both, and they're very humanized in that way. Whereas the Christian idea is that you have a divine, beautiful, does no wrong, and Hindus do this too, divine, beautiful, does nothing wrong, and then you have the bad guys. And that's like I think a bad place to get stuck. And so when I think about infernal versus divine, they're all divine, right? Infernal, divine is so what does infernal mean to me? And then I get like, I feel stupid because I go, well, it's just a word. It doesn't really mean anything. But go ahead, and I just want to put that out, and because it's something I've wrestled with as I got back into this, is where do you class, is Lilith a bad guy? Not at all. I've never had a negative experience with Lilith at all.
I think it's just embracing, again, when you look at balancing the dark and the light, it's embracing both. And I feel like the divine feminine embraces the light aspects while kind of shunning a little bit of the darker aspects.
Like it'll bring out like what you think is positive about femininity, whereas the other one brings out what could be not bad, but the parts we're ashamed of or don't want to face. That is so. For example, like with the Lilith archetype, Lilith is the archetype of a woman who is beautiful, powerful, etc., but has been scorned and therefore is vengeful and wrathful and blah 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 blah. Whereas you have then the divine version, which is like, oh, look at me, I'm just a receptacle for babies and blah, blah, blah. So you have like a completely different, it's a good point. It's like, people are like, the people on the light side are ashamed of the one, when really they're all part of the stew. They're all necessary.
Yeah, because in that, like in my explorations and the path working with Satan, like it was having this conversation, and I forget exactly where it started. And I was like, I just kind of jokingly was like, well, was there a Mrs. Satan?
It's funny, right?
I think it was when we were talking, when I was having that gnosis about the infernal feminine. I'm like, well, was there a Mrs. Satan? And he was like, well, I have not, he revealed that he had 9 wives. So it's like slowly trying to uncover who these 9 wives were. I'm up to 3.
Yeah.
But each of them are sort of like a symbolic of different things. So the first one, he was like, well, she doesn't, I was like, well, what's her name? He's like, she doesn't have a name. She predates the written and spoken word. So that's where, like, thinking of Satan as a being, something older than the Abrahamic religions and things like that.
When it comes to like, spirit families, I tend to look at them symbolically rather than literally. Like, I don't say, oh, this is such and so has wives and children. I think of it more symbolically and hierarchical in the sense that, like, if you have an archetypal idea, like a hero, like let's say you have the archetype of the hero, right? Well, what sub-archetypes fit within the hero archetype? Those would be the children of the hero. What would the hero be most likely to be associated with? So what is the bride of the hero? The heroine, and she's got a lot of the same features. So they're not actually like that kind of a family, but they have this integration of, so then what does that mean if you have a masculine Satan versus his wife? So the masculine Satan's going to be the adversarial seed, the one who says, are you sure you're not really wanting to kill that person? You know, he's going to be the one putting the seed of the adversarial question in your mind.
Right.
Well, the feminine Satan's going to be going, you know, I think you're right. I think I do want to kill those people. So.
And did you do the dishes?
Yeah. So I mean, that maybe is just my take on it.
Yeah, but I mean, what it's sort of revealed is like, so the first wife is the mother of humanity in that sense. Now, the second wife, he sort of referred to as Eve. Like the mother of biblical humanity, and he sort of made this like wink, wink, nudge, nudge joke of, well, she did give birth to the father of murder after all. And I know there is some Judeo-Christian lore about, Cain be like the serpent being Cain's father.
And again, a lot of this is just Judeo-Christian mythology that we have to not like put in the dumpster or anything by any stretch. That teaches us something, but
yeah, I feel like I'm discovering an entirely different aspect of it, like one I didn't learn in Catholic school.
Again, my advice to people with that stuff, look at Sumerian and Babylonian mythology and go compare them.
I've gotten up to the third one, and who would be sort of around that time of pre-Sumerian, pre-Mesopotamian, stuff like that. She's sort of the mother of civilization.
Yeah. You have Inanna, you have Lilitu, you have all of these different incarnations of things, and I got to brush up on it more. At some point, again, because of my... Did I mention I'm a non-dualist? Because of my non-dualist nature, I have a bad tendency, it's kind of a flaw of mine, to kind of like just push aside the cool mythology that's useful and try to look for like the higher archetypal truths behind them, and then sometimes that puts me in a disadvantage because I'm not listening to the stories as much, if that makes sense, and I'm not learning Sumerian history like I probably should. So
so like what this has caused me to do now on my path is sort of like pause and like go back and look at it, because it's been a great many years since I had world history or anything of that nature, and I don't think we got into anything. All I remember from my world history class in high school was that it was taught by a football coach. So somehow everything was relayed into sports terms. So I don't know what the fuck about the Peloponnesian War, but apparently it relates to football.
Apparently they get really good touchdowns when they,
Who knew? But and then kind of looking into all the stuff with like the Book of Enoch and the fallen angels and the Watchers and the Nephilim, looking at that aspect, because that's shit I wasn't taught in Catholic school that I don't have a lot of knowledge on. So what I'm pulling is I'm kind of comparing notes as I'm going through, looking at those different pantheons and histories and mythologies.
Look at Sumeria. Again, always go back to the older tradition. You will find that there's correlations. You had the Abkalu, you had the Anunnaki, you had all these things that are corollary to a lot of these things. The Watchers, the Book of Enoch Watchers, are Watchers from Sumeria. And so these cultures split, and then like the telephone game, after a long enough time, the names change, some of the other things change, but you can see the influential origin. They all have a flood myth. They all have the same basic.
Right.
So really fascinating. I really recommend it. Yeah. So.
That's something I've been, that's kind of where I'm at in my path working. And, you talk about, I think earlier when we were talking about Lucifer, you mentioned, whatever, the divine light of the universe or something like that. And one of the interesting things that Satan had said was, I think I asked him about his true form, again, kind of going into that egregore, title versus being thing. And what he said was, I am the brightest light disguised within darkness. So I just feel like a lot of it, and this goes into that shadow work aspect, is about balancing the light and the dark.
Yeah, it is. It's as I've said, good shadow work is you think you're turning to face the darkness, but that's because you're so busy looking at the light. You're literally turning 90 degrees, and you're becoming aware of both, and you're going,
Yeah.
I am both. I am both the light and the dark, and I need to make them one.
Yeah. And just on the final note, I had my rite of deification on Saturday with JS Garrett, which was awesome.
Yeah, he did an updated version of that. I got to get him on. My goodness, he said he'd be on. I'll have to get him on soon. I'll have to.
The deification rite. I have to say, like, I'm gonna do a live stream tomorrow for my weekly oracle and stuff and talk about it a little bit more in depth. But like, it's intense. Like, I felt him, like, once he was pulling my spirit, I'm like, okay, I'm just watching bits and pieces of it fly off. And eventually, but I was looking over, and once, when he sent me the video of it, I'm like, oh, that's exactly what I was seeing right there.
Yeah, JD did it for me. I had the exact same, I had the exact same kind of experience. JD did a little differently, obviously, and his was interrupted, so it was actually impressive that it did anything in a way, because some woman just walked by and just got, like, all, like, Karen about
I remember that story.
Yeah, it was like, are you not on fire? Like, all right, lady, go away. It's my front yard. Leave me alone. But
yeah,
it was really weird.
But yeah, it's very intense, but, I'm still kind of, balancing the energy levels out and all the stuff afterwards. But, it's really an interesting process.
Yeah. I'm going to say, let us know how it goes. Like, if it happens, like, come back to us, tell us what you have. Because that week was a lot of changes for me. It was a great week, actually.
Yeah. Like, within, like, days. Yeah. Like, stuff has happened. This week has just been really, like, I feel like it was just Monday, and I was like, holy shit, how did it end up being Thursday already?
Yeah. It's going to be, I think it's going to be pretty wild. I never had JS do it, but JD did it, and maybe I'll have to get JS to do it for me at some point, too. But, just see if there's much of a difference. But yeah. So before we let you go, tell us where we can find you and what you've got. I mean, everyone's saying what a beautiful kitchen of stuff, and I'm like, that's not just a kitchen, guys.
It's that workspace.
That's your workspace. What's going on?
The organized part of my workspace. The only organized. You don't see the stack of boxes over here, which when I was looking over, my cat was like, what's going on with this? I'm like, please don't knock over the gigantic box full of datura flowers and the giant box of white sage on top of the datura flowers and the open thing with bottles in it.
It's like you wouldn't do this except I'm on a live stream, you naughty little thing. Yes, I know.
Yeah, but you can find me. My website is Belladonna's Botanicals. I'm on all the social media stuff. My YouTube channel is it's linked to this account. So
yeah, Jen Vatsa, you're in there. Yeah, just put it when you come back. Just put in the chat in case Flesh Priest doesn't have any more.
I think I'm just about to hit 350 subscribers. So yay!
Hey, you got look. I started with 0, and then somehow I got more, and then eventually I had 200.
I started my channel 5 months ago.
Yeah, you're doing fine. It takes a little while to get. You know what it is? It's like logarithmic. It takes time to build up, and then at some point you don't have to do anything, and people just sub you. And I've reached the point now where even if I don't share my work, every day between 3 and 10 people sub me. So it's like, okay, I'm good. But it takes a little while to get there.
Actually, Epson, on socials, most of my social media is actually, because I've had social media so long, a lot of it isn't tied to my actual name. So you'll find a lot of them are Jennifer. Okay. But Belladonna's Botanicals is the business stuff, on Instagram and all that, Facebook and all that. All the links are on my website too at the bottom. So. And
we did a live stream. What was it, a month ago? So you guys, if you guys are interested in hearing more from Jen, just go about a month ago. It's in my live stream archive, and you'll find her. I think I titled you, and I hope I titled you on it. I should have titled you on it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I'll have
something like that. Yeah.
So.
And go to her channel if you want to find out the best type of Jello shots to use for Belial.
Yeah, true. And she's also very active in the Discord channel, guys. So if you guys want to have fun, you just come and hang out. She's a dirty bird. Oof, gotta watch out. She's definitely a dirtbag. Just kidding. Come on. You've hardly said anything dirty. It's always been cool. No, we have a lot of fun in there. I mostly just watch. I feel like a voyeur. I'm just like, what are my fans into? What are my friends into? What are everybody into today? Oh, interesting.
And Johannes says, good seeing you again, Jennifer Vatsa.
Oh, thank you, Johannes. Johannes is
Thank you for having me on,
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's 1 a.m.
Yeah, I know. We
Oh,
gotta wind down the clock. I think we're gonna try to get to the last 2 people on the phone, or one person, and then we're gonna go. So thank you, Jen. Come on again anytime.
Thank you.
You're always
Anytime.
welcome. All right. We'll see you
Have a
soon.
good
Have a good night. Yeah, so we have one more person lined up.
One more. Uno mas.
Zion in chat. We do have a Discord account. You can find that link in my camera feed. It's discord.gg/6EETR capital E capital E.
All the
Sexy
coolest
tree.
people are in our Discord. And if they're not, they will be.
So, got room for one more then?
I think so. Yeah. Who we got lined up for next person?
Oh, somebody we've never had on here. I think
I like
they're listening right now, so I think they know this call is about to come.
Okay.
Somebody we've never had on, but we know their name.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna leave it as a surprise.
I think I already know. Starts with an N and ends with an N and an I. It's the N and an I. What's up? Come to us. Come. Join us.
Summoning.
Join us. Oh, you disappeared.
Hello.
Hello. Who do we
Hello.
have?
I'd like to welcome the great and powerful Necro Nicki.
What's up, Necro Nicki? What's going on?
Okay, wait.
Okay. Yep. Let us know when you got it.
No, okay. Am I good? Is it like echoing or anything?
No, you sound
Oh
fine.
no, you're fine.
You sound
Okay.
fine. Do you want
I
video?
like put my headphones in, but I'm like hearing you on my Skype. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if you put it through just one of the outputs, it's usually. But yeah, it can be fun to figure out. Do you want to come through video or just audio? Because you got your video here. I don't know if you care.
It's up to you. If you want to put me on video, go for it.
Oh, it's up to you. All right. Well, start talking. Introduce yourself while I'm figuring out how to put you on the video. And
Of course.
I know
What's
who you
up,
are,
everybody. I'm Necro Nicki, and yeah, I have a YouTube channel. I love working with the shadow current and the shadow people. Actually, the first time I discovered you, DH, is I saw you on the Black Tower. You were like a guest on the Black Tower.
Okay. Yeah, that was.
Or
man. There we go. Let me fix you up here.
Hey!
How many years ago was that? I guess it was 2 years, a year and a half ago.
I think it was like a year ago, yeah. And then I just like watched that video, and then randomly like you were suggested as a friend on Facebook, and I was like, yo, what's up? And then I saw one of your live streams, and I was like, oh, he's into the shadow people. And like the Necronomicon, which are like 2 of my favorite things. So
Yeah, Necronomicon is like my knowledge of it's like way down. So I don't. But I do enjoy it. Like, I think it's a cool current. I think it's a great system. I just never had the energy to go through it as written. So I just kind of like look at it, but I don't use it because I just don't have the time or the energy to do all of the stuff and then to plan it out the way you're supposed to. I just use it more as a reference for things from time to time. It's an interesting system, though.
yes, it was kind of one of the gateway books for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I think for a lot of us, right? I think when I was a kid. Like I don't know if you read Shadownomicon. I think I sent you a digital copy. I forget. But in the first chapter or 2, I talk about how my first experiences with intentionally doing magic ritual, I used stuff out of the Necronomicon. I completely made it up along the way, but it's so I think for a lot of us, especially like younger people like Gen X or younger, I think Necronomicon is a gateway for a lot of us. I think it really is.
Yeah,
sure.
definitely. And the shadows actually, well, for me personally, like I have a like this, I don't know if you could see it. This is a Legion tattoo.
Oh, yeah, look
well,
at that.
I mean, I relate it to Legion because one of the first like meditations I did where I was able to like see things with my mind's eye was actually with the different eyes of the triangle. So like the first, it was crazy. It was like I had never like even known that was an occult symbol. Like when I did the meditation, like I saw this triangle with like more of like I guess like a light side eye, and then I saw like a second eye and a triangle appeared, and it was just kind of had like that glary kind of look. And so yeah, I kind of gravitated more towards that one and wanted to get it tattooed. So
yeah, it's kind of like the divine eye of providence has a shadow, and that shadow is Legion. Yeah, It's also been conflated with Karanzan. I think there's a definite relationship, at least not. If they're not the same being, they represent the same basic concepts between each other a lot. So yeah, no, it's the Shadow Current is. I think it's getting more popular. It's not just because I'm talking about it. I think it woke up, 20 years ago for people, because it was already there, but 20 years ago people started recognizing it officially, with that Art Bell conversation that he had with Thunder Strikes, and then ever since then they've just become a meme and an urban legend, and they just grow, and that makes the egregore bigger and stronger. They're here to stay now. They're not going anywhere now. They're a big thing. And I know that there's different interpretations of them. I know that some people say that they're not things that I say they are, and then we disagree on stuff. So I don't like to get into competitions about it. I just speak what I've experienced and hope that people understand. But the interesting thing is you're also part of the Shadowgate group. Hopefully you'll be participating a little bit in that, but if not, that's fine. But yeah, I remember you were one of the first people to join that project when I started it last month.
Yeah, definitely. And I've read most of your book. I've read 90% of your book. Okay. So
that's a lot considering the first half is
oh my gosh. Yeah, because another one of my first with the shadows is that with the Shadow Man with the hat, he was the first being I ever saw with my eyes, my physical eyes. So yeah, when I first saw him, I thought I was on, I thought I got drugged. I thought I was on drugs because I was what's going on here, And then I just kind of realized that I can see spirits sometimes just out and about.
I will say the shadows to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but to me and a lot of people, it seems like shadows are easier to see. They're one of the easiest ones to see first because they'll show up as movements out of the corners of your eyes, and they tend to be, maybe it's because we're dark-minded people, maybe because we're gothy or whatever the hell it is, we think of things in that way, but they seem to just show up more easily. And I think it's because it's easier to see a trick of light and shadow as a being than a demon walking out of a hole in your floor, right? It's a lot easier to especially if you're doing outdoor ritual, in the woods, and it's dark, and you're looking at the wilderness around you, and you see a dark shape moving, is that a shadow person? It's a lot easier to jump to that kind of a conclusion and allow that egregore to manifest like a body for you. I think personally. And
yeah, for me, he showed up at in a parking lot of a grocery store. I was like,
not
okay.
Fun, totally true.
Yeah, I love cowboy hats, and I like how in your book you mentioned how sometimes he wears a cowboy hat because. Yep. I've done a decent amount of research on him. I mainly just work with him, but you're the first other person who said that because whenever I hear about him, it's usually he's wearing a top hat or something like that. So I love cowboy hats.
I think it can be anything. I think that there's different incarnations because I think it's always people are pulling this out of themselves, and so what they're pulling out, and manifesting, is a reflection of something inside, and those egregoric shapes that I've given and then talked to and worked with, they're going to work for a lot of people because when people see that cowboy looking shape, some of those things that I'm talking about him will click and go, oh yeah, that's why he kind of reminds me of this and that, and this is what. Other people see it differently though. And again, I don't want to, I don't like to argue people's subjective experiences with spirits, right?
Yeah.
I think everybody's got room to have a different interpretation of the spirit world, but yeah, and no, that's cool. So when you first saw him in a parking lot, that's cool because, a lot of people think oh, spirits are always in the woods and all this stuff, but shadow people, I see them the most often, and when I do, I'll see them I'll be walking through town at night and doing whatever, and I'll see them scrambling along rooftops, and I'll see them running around between houses. I'll see them standing in people's windows, be that person's got a child abuser in the house. I can tell because of the shape of the fucking shadow. And I just know what's going on in those places. Really weird. I don't know if I'm right, but that's what it feels like. You know what I'm saying? I can look and I see, oh, the colossal shadow's in there. That's somebody's in there is probably got a bad temper, I bet, and they're not dealing with it. And I don't know. I think I'm right. I bet you if I go to that house at the Red Owl, I'll hear screaming and yelling and bottles being thrown or something. I can almost guarantee it. So, it's weird how that works. But it's not always like that. I don't want to give the wrong impression to where I have to see the spirit to believe it. It's more like a clue. It's just a clue. It's one of many clues, right?
Yeah, because when I saw him that one time, the first time, that's the only time I've ever seen him like that. Now when I work with him, it's just more of we just like telepathically communicate, you know. But I'll definitely get answers, or I'll get people, like he'll want me to go to a certain concert and see a certain band, and then I'll have someone come up to me and just start talking to me about shadow people, like, or he'll just introduce certain people to me. So where I just get confirmation in various ways. And what's interesting is my experience with, okay, so I wanted to talk to you about like what started happening to me like after I started reading your book. So like my experience with him and like my shadow people, like the shadows that I have that like live at my apartment and whatnot, like they've never caused chaos in my life, but they'll like want me to cause chaos to like people in my life, like that kind of thing, like, you know, have this person feel this way, or just like think about this fantasy or whatever. But when I started reading your book, it was different because, like, I mean, not to scare people, but, like, I like chaos and stuff like that. But I was like, for 2 days, I lost my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Like, I went on, like, a 2-day, like, alcohol binge. And it was, like, I ended up in, like, Hollywood. And it was just, like, really crazy. And then I just, you know, I reflected back on that. And, like, it was necessary though, like the process. Like do
you think the shadows influenced that, or do you think it just was something like, you know, what connection do you think that has to reading the book?
It was Legion actually, because like I just like before I knew that, like in your book you mentioned that like he is like he's Legion, but he's also like a collective of shadows. Like that's what I felt. It was like a collective, but it was. Because, like, you know, not to get too much into this, but, like, my deepest, like, darkest, or, you know, like, my addiction is, like, alcohol. So I've always had, like, a problem with that. And so, like, they just, like, went for that. But it ended up being, like, a positive experience because it's weird, but I don't feel like I have a problem anymore. Like, it's crazy. Like, I don't even have, like, a desire to drink it, or if I do, it doesn't get out of control. But, like, yeah, it was just really interesting because I got like the other side of the spectrum of like
they're gonna dangle that in front of you a bunch, and the goal, you know, like they're doing shadow work on hard mode, like that's like it's like what's that game that we're talking about, Flesh Priest, all the time, me and you, like Dark Souls. It's like Dark Souls. It's like shadow work on Dark Souls difficulty. Like is like what it's like. It's so much harder because it's like you're actually confronting them directly. In an egregoric form, so they'll, you know, I find that for people who they're meant for to work with, they have a big impact, and they'll, you know, it's sink or swim, and you integrate or be devoured by them. It's going to be one or the other.
Oh yeah.
You know, and sometimes you're going to have a great experience where you're like, hey, they showed me this thing about myself, and now I'm not a victim of it anymore. I feel like I'm in control. I'm awesome. But then sometimes they'll make you feel that way too. You know, sometimes that's, you know, like one of the things they did to me a lot was they put me in positions of power, like they're sort of doing now. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but they'll put me in positions of power. And then if I don't treat that power with the right respect, if I let it go to my head, or if I don't like take it seriously and actually use it to do things. Like if I just have power for no reason, that's stupid, right? So if they give me like authority, power, respect, whatever it is, it can either go to my head, and I have to be careful of that, or it can make me like get kind of sick of people, which I get all the time, and be like, I need someone else to manage the empire. And then when I do that, then some prick comes along, some asshole comes along and like tries to undermine me in my own creation. And I have to fight that off, and it's always a challenge for me, and that's a very Ronzael as shadows go. It's very much a Ronzael thing, and I have to learn to integrate that still. In fact, I have a good friend, Josh, who was on last week, and we talked about stuff, and he knows, like he's always pushing me towards more leadership stuff. He's like, nope, you got to take those reins. There's a reason this is happening. You know, don't run away from your responsibility as this guy. And I'm like, yeah, but as much as I want it, I don't know. Like it's a constant struggle. So I'm always integrating that. More and more. So I think you're going to have some really fun stuff, you know, as this goes on. And if you ever get around to actually doing, I know you're already working with them, but if you get around to using any of the stuff you're one of those people where it's like you've already got a relationship with some of them. So the question is, should you do the books and the ritual or not? It's like you're one of those people where I could kind of say like, maybe not, you don't have to, because I don't have to,
Yeah, because that's what I was kind of thinking, to be honest. I mean, I didn't want to like tell you that, but I'm not really big on like doing other people's rituals. But I was like thinking in the back of my head, I'm gonna like read the book, and then when it comes to the ritual part, because I'm like more like chaos magician, where like I'm like almost like anti doing other people's stuff. But I'm like, I'm just gonna skim through it, because like I like the idea of a lot of your rituals, and then I kind of make up. Like, I kind of just do my own thing or don't use certain tools. But, like, one thing I did use that you did mention in the book is, and it was crazy because it was a synchronicity, like, when you mentioned about, like, the stone, like, consecrating the stone and having that to, like, feed the chaotic energy to. It was funny, like, it was right before I went on my trip to Michigan, and I was thinking that day, like, because I was, like, wearing a ring. I'm actually wearing it right now. I was, like, obsidian ring, and, before I got to that, like, chapter of the book, because I actually, like, just... I had my phone, so I was, like, reading the book, actually, like, on the plane on the way there, and I'm like, I need to, like, consecrate this ring, like, that's what I was thinking, then I, like, read that, and I was like, oh, what? Yeah, and that made such a difference, too, like, if I felt, like, I mean, I could already know how to divert chaotic energy, but it was kind of, like, Legion, like, initiated me, and then now I'm not really, like, dealing with, like, crazy stuff going on. I kind of am like, hey, like, you can, like, there's this person over here you can, like, feed off of, and then, like, I really correlate them a lot to, like, Saturn energy. Do you? Since it's kind of like you're pushing things away, in a sense, it's like pushing the chaos away from you, like, into the fucking, in the stone.
You could. I know VK did, and I somewhat agree/disagree with that. I think, but VK's got a completely different perspective of things than I do in a lot of ways. So to say, like, it's right or wrong is, like, different. But for me, like, so Saturnian energy has a lot to do, obviously, Chronos, time, death, the elder gods, all that kind of stuff. There's definitely a context there where it's not wrong. The problem is the shadow people that I understand have more to do with what human beings cast off and get rid of. So it does fit, again, like the Saturnian thought of the decaying old Chronos and time and things that we put away from us, right? So it's not wrong. It's just, it depends on your intention. If you're more of like a pagan-minded person where you like to work with the planetary spheres that way, absolutely you could use that as one of the doorways, right? I think using Saturn as like a gate to get to that wouldn't be wrong. But I don't work in a superstitious mentality where they're like children of Saturn. Like, I don't see it. Like, to me, that doesn't fit. Because they can act a lot of different ways. In fact, as I said, Ronzael showed to me as an angel the first time. So there's a lot of back and forth there. I would say, you got to pick a spectrum of the current that resonates better with your thinking. If someone comes to the shadow people and they say, no, I like VK's version where they're children of Saturn better, then work with that, and I wish you the best. If you prefer, however, to understand them as things that we cast off from inside of us and put in the abyss ourselves, as not just individuals, but as a species, and we've done since the dawn of time, so there's some old-ass fucking shadows lurking out there that are still romping around, that are still doing what they do. And they've been forgotten, and that's why they're so deadly and why they're so dangerous. So, again, does that fit Chronos? Does that fit Saturn? Yeah, it does. It's not outside that purview. It does fit. But I see some of that as, you're into chaos magic, and I am too. And my idea is I like to use superstitious symbolism, but then I like to figure out what the symbols are pointing at. So Saturn's pointing at an idea as an archetype, and I like to identify that archetype and then use that, not Saturn himself, right? Because then it's kind of like Christians like using things, and you get a dogmatic view, and I try to avoid that.
Yeah.
But still ride it. I'll still work with Saturn on occasion and stuff, but I don't like to, like you said, use other people's stuff. I don't like to use other people's religions.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like, even with any sort of concept, I'm just like, I'll kind of go back and forth with it, but like I'll just play with it. But yeah, it's not set. It's kind of just like one small piece of the puzzle, you know, or just one small aspect.
So let me ask you a personal question. You don't have to answer it. Would you say that there was a lot of, you know, we'll say personal trauma growing up that would have invited or encouraged these shadows to be attracted to you or to form out of you? Would you say that there was, like when you were younger, is there, you know, you don't have to go into details, but would you say that there is a source for this, or is this more like just something you've been interested in? Like, where would you say this comes from?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say like my connection with them personally comes from that, but I do see like a relation. Yeah, so I do have a lot of personal trauma from when I was younger, definitely. And you know, for me, I didn't see, well, actually, when I was really, really young, I would like close my eyes. Like I'm talking like 1-2 years old. I remember like a lot of stuff when I was like really young.
That's
too.
unusual.
But I would see, I see this like I would see the shadow, like just an outline of a shadow, like a person, you know. And I just remember like asking, you know, an adult, like, oh, what is this? Like I kept, whenever I'd close my eyes, I would see this shadow, and then like the person was just telling me that it was Jesus, of course.
Oh,
but
yeah,
like,
of course.
yeah, I guess now that I think about it, that was the first, you know, so that really closed off. But I was into like witchcraft and, you know, from a very young age. But yeah. And yeah, a lot of my trauma actually I kind of figured out like from channeling is, have you ever heard of the Jezebel spirit?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Yeah, I found out that like this spirit was like causing a lot of like trauma and like chaos when like growing up, but I'm sure the shadows were too, you know.
And again, remember, a lot of this is we're creating an interface for something that's much subtler. So your shadows can be accessed by any current of magic, really. I mean, Lucifer is excellent for shadow work. The Qliphoth, excellent for shadow work. Shadow people is just another mask you can put on this concept and will manifest things. I will say that I haven't seen as vivid and evocative shadow in a long time. It's been many years since I've seen one with my, like, I couldn't tell the difference, walk through an area in front of me. It's been many years since I've seen that. But I will say that in my own internal vision, I've seen them a lot more, and a lot more clearly than ever now. And they speak to me. So what I'm saying is like, when you reach out to this current, it reaches back. And everybody that I know that's worked with it either before the book or after, but intentionally done so, they all have a very similar vibe, a very similar, like, I've seen some shit, you know, type of vibe.
Yeah.
And yet I'm rather integrated about it. And like, you got that going on quite a bit. And so that's why I was curious, like, was there a lot of crap you had to process and get through to get to where you're at? Because it seems like as negative as they are, they tend to process the crap for you if you let them. So like, they're not good guys, but they're helpful anyway. Like even though they'll put you through the ringer, if you come at it with the right, I don't know, I guess intention, the desire to, like, I'm never going to let this get me. I'm going to find myself, I'm going to heal, I'm going to be this. That can be bad, but if you come at it with the right mentality, you'll survive them, and in so doing, you're integrated, and you'll find that you're just better for it over time. So, and then there's the baneful aspects of what they're capable of if you know how to influence that. And I got that guy Josh last week, he was on, and that's like what he loves the best is once he started working with one, then he'll turn it on somebody else and then watch them closely for the results and be like, that's exactly the kind of thing that happened to them. Like, he'll turn the Dark Mother on someone and they'll betray their children and act like the Dark Mother exactly, and they'll suffer for it. Like, the cops will come, something will happen. Really
He's
wild.
been posting those stories in Discord too, and every time I just want to grab a bag of popcorn and just, yes, more, please.
Yeah. And I don't doubt it. I had, when I was younger, there was this one guy, he came in to me when I was working at Blockbuster. God, I don't know if you guys know what Blockbuster is, but I used to work at Blockbuster back in the day. And I had the blue shirt and everything. And so I was the big fat blue Squirtle working there. It was pretty funny. But they didn't know, like, at night, I took that off and became D.H. Thorne the Madman. But anyway, I was working there, and this guy comes in. He was just still in high school probably. He's drunk as shit, and he comes in and he just like starts cursing me out and like wants to fight me. And I'm like, well, this will be fun because I liked fighting back then a lot. And so I was ready, willing, and able, but I was at work, so I was like, just get the fuck out of here if you know it's good for you. So he leaves, and for no reason he wanted to pick a fight with me. It was the weirdest fucking thing. And I remember thinking about him and a shadow just like showing up in front of him and killing him. That's what I remember seeing. And the very next day, a friend of mine comes in who knew the kid somehow. He's like, remember that kid who picked a fight with you the other night and you didn't do anything? I'm like, yeah. Well, not long after he got out of here, he drove down the road and swerved off the road and his car flipped over and he died. I'm like, well, I didn't say anything, but I'm thinking to myself, like, whoa, that's weird because I know what I was thinking. And I was like, okay, so I wonder. They tend to when they're inflicted on someone, they're inflicted with the very thing that makes them an intolerable person in the first place. So like if you got like a rapist, well, rape is going to be how they go down, right? It's like the old saying, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So it's kind of like that. Someone who is an asshole to people, someone who's got a bad shadow and they use it badly and they're acting out on it, if you inflict their shadow on them, you empower that shadow is basically what I'm saying. They'll self-destruct over it. And I've seen it happen a few times. I've done it to a few people over time. So it's a pretty effective method. And I like it because it's also, it's not a petty curse. It's like a curse where the person can heal anyway. Like it's like a neutral curse where it's like, fix your shit or die. You know what I mean? So you might end up with a good result. Like they may end up being a better person because of it. And it feels cool when you do that. It really does.
Yeah, for sure. Like I feel like it really depends on the mentality of the person too. Because like most people kind of like freak out when bad stuff happens to them, but I've learned throughout the years, and it sounds insane, but it's like when bad shit happens to me, I'm like excited. I'm like, this is a lesson. Like something's gonna, I didn't get this. And then, instead of getting upset, like I get something that better comes out of it, Mm-hmm. So I think it really just depends on like how your perspective is with that, but like I use them for baneful magic. Like I think I showed you my altar. I have a shadow people altar and I have a curse pact with them. So like, especially the shadow man with the hat and like his legion and any of my shadows. But anytime I curse or hex someone, I always get him involved, and like I can even do it with other entities. It's not a big deal, but because like I only have 2 packs and that's like one of them, and I always just involve him too, So
we had a question in the chat. Who is in the bottom right of the screen? Who are you again? I don't know who you are. Who are you?
The bottom, I'm on the top right.
Isn't that weird? Like who is on the bottom right? There's nobody there. It's like emptiness. It's like
I think you might be seeing a shadow, my friend.
Yeah, I think he might be seeing my overlay. I have a picture down there of an altar top, which I could make that go away. Maybe they're probably asking, maybe they got their left and their right confused. Who is it that's on the bottom left? Let's try that. Maybe that's a better question. No, that's Necro Nicki for you guys. You guys chat with her all the time in the chat. Plus, Nicki, tell everybody where they can find you and who you are and how to know what you're up to, and anything you do, let us know. Whatever you want us to know.
Anything?
I'm saying like whatever you like, Facebook, YouTube, wherever we can find you. Anything you do. What can we find?
As far as like occult stuff, I have a YouTube channel, and actually I posted 2 new videos today. One of them's on the shadows.
Okay.
I also recently did a podcast with Order of Defiant Darkness, which also got posted today. So I was like 3 videos today, which is exciting. But yeah. And I'm in the process of moving right now, but once that all gets over and done with, I'm going to be posting a lot more on my YouTube channel. My Instagram is also a good place to find me. So my YouTube channel is Necro Nicki, and then my Instagram is Necro_Nicki. And yeah, I post stories often on Instagram.
Yeah, I've seen you on Instagram a few times, definitely. I followed you, I don't remember, like 2 weeks ago, a week ago, I forget. When I started using it again, you were like one of the first people I followed too. So
nice.
Yeah, so no, it's cool. You got a lot of followers there. And I mean, I look forward. You should come on again. Like, I do this every Thursday, so maybe we'll do a dedicated show sometime. Have you on?
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be fun. Talk about what you've been doing, but yeah. So
Anytime.
I don't want to rush you off, but we went a little overtime tonight. But
Yeah,
I appreciate you coming on, and yeah. Anything else you want to say? What else do you want to talk about?
That's it. I
Okay.
think that sums it up.
All right. So I guess we'll do the closing arguments, Flesh Priest, for the night, and we'll wrap it up and tell people where to buy crap and do all that kind of good stuff.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to make the same mistake I did last week with Dice Controller. Dice, love you, brother. So, thank you very much for being on,
Oh,
Necro,
yeah,
Nicki.
that's right. Thank you,
Thank
Nicki.
you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
So, yeah, I want to say to everybody, go ahead and sound off in the chat really quick. That way I can see participants and I can say good night to all of you individually. But yeah, so buy our crap. You know the weekly plug.
You know what I should do?
Amazon
You and I should record a buy our crap video, like a little minute
And
long
just
thing,
play that
and just
at
play
the
that
end.
at the end. Yeah, that'd be really funny. So if you like what I'm doing, if you're enjoying my show, there's a lot of different ways you can help out, and I really appreciate it because of the cornholio plague that's going on right now and everything else. Money's tight for everybody, so I'm not asking for anything except your support. You can do that liking, sharing, subscribing these videos. When you do share them, be responsible. Don't just share them to like the Christian cults, please, because I don't need that crap. Share them with people who'd be interested in this kind of stuff. If you have guests you'd like to see on, find a way to let me know. You can message me at my email, which you can find if you go to www.mindtheshadows.com. I've got links to my services, some blog stuff I do. If you're interested in hiring me for magical services, you can do that. But the best way to support me, honestly, even though I have a Teespring and a Patreon and all that crap, I've got books, and those books are my pride and joy. Those are like, I poured my heart and soul into those. And I've got Become the Maelstrom, Shadownomicon, and now I have the Infernal Vampire Handbook. And he's got a copy of Shadownomicon, and probably, yep, there we go. Oh, yep. That's my two latest ones right there.
Because of my black light, or blue light, I should say.
Yeah, they're not black light for last one, yeah. So, yeah. So if you guys want to support me, that's the easiest
otherwise
way.
there'd be a lot of spots.
I like the books because then you get something that's real. Teespring's okay, but it's not as popular, and Teespring's like, it's merch, merch is merch, and some of it's useful and functional, like the tapestries can be used in ritual. The Lucifer tapestry is my best-selling thing ever, and it's really cool because it's blacklight reactive, so it does look really badass in blacklight. And super chats are also awesome. Thank you, Lucas Vos. Actually, I saw one. Did we miss one?
Yeah,
from
you
him?
know what? I wanted to get to that, actually.
Okay, yeah, hit
so
that. I'm sorry, Lucas, man. I'm really sorry.
There was two super chats I wanted to get to. One was from Arachnos, and he didn't even say anything. He just gave money because, like he said, he just wanted to show some support. So I'm sorry I didn't get to that sooner. We fucking appreciate you, man. And also Lucas Vos. He said he tried to send this earlier, but he wanted to say hello to everybody in chat and that he has gratitude for the life that we live and the paths that we walk. Keep up the good work.
Lucas,
and fucking nail.
Lucas, I hope you feel better. I know you had that little mishap yesterday, and
yeah,
take care of yourself. I hope it's not that serious, like you said, but take care of yourself. Don't please do. It's. I worry about that stuff because when stuff like that happens, it can creep up on you. So there may not be anything that can be done though.
I see him back in chat too. I know he said that he was walking to the gas station real quick. So Lucas, fucking glad you're back, man.
Yeah, good. I hope maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's just a sprain or something. Maybe it's not that bad. But
it's not doing good.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too bad. But yeah, no, my books they're a product of my heart and soul, and it's probably my favorite way. But if you already have them and you still want to do supportive things, like, share, and subscribe, comment on these videos. Whatever you guys see fit, it all helps. Believe me, this thing people don't realize, as a YouTube creator, that's part of my career as a YouTube creator. I'm a creator / author / consulting sorcerer. So that's the three big things I do. And as a content creator, well, the biggest thing for that is, are you consuming my content? Is it being consumed? That's the biggest thing. It's actually just as fulfilling for me to know that my stuff is being appreciated and shared. And now Flesh Priest too, because he's part of the act too, right? So how does it make you feel to know that there's sometimes 800 people watch a stream after we did it? Don't poop yourself.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I was going over and we just had a bunch of people joining the Discord. What did you just say? That went in one ear and out the other.
I was just saying, as now that you can consider yourself a fellow content creator, isn't part of it, even more than the money or anything, just knowing that there's like 800 people going to watch this week maybe, and thumbs up this video, and like it and spend time having lunch listening to it. Isn't that a big part of why you do it? Isn't that just as important as anything else?
So I don't know how much you want me to say about it, but I'll give you guys a little peek behind the scenes.
I'm gonna kill this man. He's gonna
die. DH like has been offering, and I've refused a lot of times to like share a cut of, and I just said no, like I'm here because I want to be, and that's what I do it for. Like I'm here because I enjoy doing this and I like hanging out with all of you motherfuckers.
So disappointed. I'm so disappointed.
All you bastards, bitches, and non-binary witches. I'm gonna keep saying it until it sticks. I fucking.
That's what it is. You're only on here to get the agenda out. That's what it is. No, I'm just kidding.
He figured me out.
Damn it.
You've banished me back to the shadow realm.
Oh man, fucking. He was so good at handling the Skype calls too. No, I mean, like I said, one of these days, like you better hurry up and get me that stuff so I can get you your cut, because
it's on the way. I'm not good at handling the Skype calls. I'm good at making it look like I'm not putting out fires behind the scenes.
Yeah, for all I know, people are like texting you like, "Let me on. I hate that fat fuck. I don't want to talk to him. I want to talk to you, you bastards. I hate you all." Like I can only imagine. But
nothing like that. It's just I have my mind segmented between 6 different programs. Like that's why half the time, like I'm on the stream, but half the time I'm not actually participating in the stream because I'm focusing on so much other shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, dude. I mean, you're doing all the butt work that I used to do, and it's freeing me up to do be a pontificating asshole. So you make my pontificating asshole possible. So we really have you to blame. See how I'm doing this, guy? You see how I did that? You see how I just did that? So if anybody doesn't like me, it's you.
I want everybody to hear what you have to say, so I am more than happy to take up the brunt work.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't know why people like it. I know when I watch myself, there are times when I like it, but then there's times I'm like, wow, you sound like such a pretentious pontificating asshole. I don't like you. But I've been told by a lot of other creators they have the same reaction to themselves. So.
Oh yeah, no, that's natural.
Yeah. All right, guys. Oh yeah, go ahead. No, speak your mind. Speak it.
Here is awesome.
Dia Phoenix is like one of those people that, like, I don't know where she came from, but like a few weeks to a month or two ago, she just appeared and has been one of the most supportive people, besides like Shaman Sorcerer and some other people, one of the most energetically supportive, right? Like Shaman Sorcerer is supportive and he pays and he does all this stuff. Dia Phoenix is like, everywhere I go, like that I know that she's there, like me and a few other people are always on her lips. She's always having praises and things, and Dia, you're awesome. You always call in. You're always cool when you call in, so we appreciate you a lot. Trust me, like you're one of those names like, oh, when Dia Phoenix calls in, let's get her up. So thank you for showing up, Dia. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, Lucas. Thank you, all these people. Man Clan, I am very sorry you missed, or you're at the tail end of this. So I hope you do rewind. We had Necro Nicki on. We had Jennifer Vatsa on for a little bit. We had some people who were just kind of, listeners who wanted to come on. It was a good show. It was definitely a good show. So hopefully, you come back and listen to the whole thing. I don't know. You got anything else I should say?
Well, I was gonna give a shout out to everybody who was commenting late in the chat, and do the send off.
Yeah, and don't forget tomorrow, Saturday night, we're going to have a friends and family on Discord game night. I don't know. We're talking things like maybe Among Us, but probably for sure, definitely at least we're going to have some party games like some Cards Against Humanity, maybe some Jackbox, maybe some crazy shit. So Jackbox might be fun actually. If we do some Jackbox and like some people play and some people watch, depending on how many people show up, that could be fun as hell. But yeah. So if you don't know, if you're late to the show or you didn't know, we have a Discord channel. We have a Discord server now where if you show up during the show, we let you in right away. If you're late or you don't show up until tomorrow, then you got to answer the questions. So make sure you go in there and you look up the questions. And yeah, that's right, Zion. Among Us, it's like a big fad, so we're jumping in. Why not? We're jumping in with both titties, baby. Like, woohoo! Yeah. So I played it a few times. It's pretty funny.
My favorite movie is The Thing, so I was all about Among Us before it was cool.
Yeah. I feel like that's what's going on in the world in general right now. Is just a big giant global game of Among Us right now, and this whole country. But don't get me started on politics and current events, because then that'll have to be a whole other stream.
Are you saying we need to find the traitor who's hiding in chat?
Well, I think we know who the traitors are, but we're not going to get into that. But
let me name off a couple potential traitors.
Potential traitors in the chat.
So all of you who are commenting late in this video, I just want to say thank you. Like, truly, like I said earlier, you guys are the reason why I'm here. I enjoy fucking doing this every week with you. Chemisard, Lucas Vose, Gregory Soto, Zion Sriverin. I know I'm going to pronounce it wrong.
You're fine. I'm teasing.
People misspell and mispronounce my name so often. Like, I feel like I have some leniency here.
To be fair, you have like 7 of them.
and Furnace, Jennifer Vatsa, Cracky Comics, Krasinski, Johannes Josef von Engelstadt,
Johannes von Engelstadt,
Lamia Nightstorm, Lohan Asain, Dia Phoenix, J. Thomas, Monstrous Magics. Let me see. Do we have Man Clan? Necro Nicki.
Yeah.
Dovahkiin. You damn bastard, getting dividends with that super chat.
Yeah, man. Make my metal things, dude. No, I'm just kidding. Take your time. I'm eager. Though.
Yeah.
I'm eager though. I'm interested.
Krasinski. I think I got everybody in there.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that's it for this week. We will be here next week, same time, same channel. Everybody, you had a good time. Remember, if you want to call in, you just need Skype or to be on the Discord channel now. Did we get anybody in Discord that wanted to join us, or did we miss it?
Not tonight, no.
Okay.
The fun part is it can be anything. As long as you can reach me on a computer, I can fucking have you call in. So if there's something that I don't know about, like, if you just let me know, like, hey, I can't do Discord, I can't do Skype, but I can do fucking some weird program, as long as I don't need like a Russian social security number or something to join it,
right?
I can have you on it. You can send me an MP3 of your question. We can even play it.
True. I didn't think of that. Yeah. I can do that part too. Like, so some of that I can do too, but you wouldn't hear it the way I've got it set up. But the way you got it set up, I can hear it all. So it's great. So that's a good idea, dude. Yeah. Maybe we should make that. No, that's gonna be a lot to deal with, because you might get like a dozen of them in a day. That would be crazy. So, yeah.
Oh, I can handle it.
I mean, imagine some of the stuff you're going to get. Imagine some of the stuff you're going to get, though. You're going to click the button and be like, you're going to hear some weird crap, dude. I promise you. So that's going to be taken out of context
that's
again.
Fun. I never. Yep. There's the audio snippet for the night.
Yep. I can't wait till someone does the turn of the frogs game moment for me. Someone who was once a fan who turned into a really rank hater had done this funny ass clip of me where I was talking about calling on Santa Claus as an egregore, and it's a very Alex Jones moment. I have it saved, but if I share it, they're probably like, "I made it, I'm going to sue you." They're going to do one of those kinds of things, so I'm never going to share it. But I'll share it with you because it was funny as fuck. But this guy.
Oh, you sent it to me already. The fucking Santa Claus one. Yeah.
Oh man, that one was funny, but unfortunately, it's somebody else's, so I'm not going to fuck with it. But yeah, so. All right, that's it. I'm going to hit the button. Good night, everybody. I have a
good night. Fucking
problem.
hail.
Fuck all you. I love you. Goodbye. Good night.